Hello there, welcome to Poker Night Live. I'm Matt Broughtton and I'm going to be with you for the next 4 hours as we bring you the very best in online internet poker. If you're new to Poker Night Live, we are watching real people playing real poker online for real money. We're going to bring you a mixture of single table tournaments, cash games and multi-table tournaments, and you're also going to have the chance to take me on a bit later on in our regular Beat the Presenter section. The program, however, would be nothing without you, so we do ask you to email and text us in with any questions and comments you'd like to make. There are a number of ways in which you can do that. The first of which is upon your screen. Text us here in the studio on 62211, 62211 for your texts, or email us poker@pokernightlive.co.uk, again with any questions you want at all. Or have your say, hear yourself live on telly, 0906 200 7080. Make sure you check with the bill payer if it's not you first. Okay, now we have a whole bunch of stuff for you tonight, but before we plunge in, let's take a look at what is on the conveyor belt. Our first table here is cash game, a 25-cent, 50-cent game. Full table, nice full table. We'll be back here very soon. We have the first of our sit and goes. This is a $5 single table sit and go. Only just got going. We will come back here very soon. We have another sit and go. This is a $10 sit and go. Again, early days here. Plenty of action and a few familiar faces. And the final table here is our big multi-table tournament that we're going to jump in and out of all night long. We are going to follow the chip leaders right down to the final table towards the end of the show, where it gets pretty damn exciting. Okay, so lots of stuff going on there. Don't forget, we've got Beat the Presenter in about an hour's time, and also keep the emails and comments coming. Let's get started by taking a look at the MTT. So here we are. So this is our multi-table tournament. We're going to jump in and out of this throughout the night. We have 120 people playing here tonight. This is a $10 buy-in. Top prize, $360. There's a $1,200 in the prize pool. Pretty obviously, if you times 120 players by their $10. Top 10 places get paid. So you've got to get through 110 people before you're even in the money. And even at that stage, you're only getting $18. So it's really all about the top 3, if not the top 2 spots in these things. For the benefit of those joining us for the first time, the game we focus on here on Poker Night Live is Texas Hold'em. If you're not familiar with the game, as you can see, every player gets 2 cards. They are yours and yours alone. You then have the flop, which is 3 cards, come down in the center of the table, followed by a betting round, followed by a 4th card, followed by a betting round, followed by a 5th card. And then whoever has the best 5-card poker hand out of the 7 wins. It's that simple. So as I say, this is the first of our visits to the MTT tonight. Early doors, no one with any particular significant chip lead, but that will change as the tables break down and players get knocked out. And then by the time you get to the final table, you're going to have the cream of the crop with all the chips. The blinds will have gone up and done some significant damage, and it gets pretty groovy. We can see here, Ace-4 suited for Gullo in seat 3. Unlikely to get much action out of anyone other than perhaps Jack-Queen up in seat 8. Golden Jaguar tries to limp in here. The blinds are 10 and 20. Everyone being very cagey this early stage, just trying to get some cheap flops, see if they can accumulate some chips early, so that when the blinds do start picking up, they got something to fight with. Be unlikely to see too many fireworks this early, unless you're lucky enough to have any maniacs on your table, who will very kindly donate their chips to you with nothing more than bottom pair. Golden Jaguar has picked up a draw. 7-8 has got top pair with a queen kicker, not too shabby. Makes a decent sized bet. Really depends whether Golden Jaguar wants to stick around on the draw. Having a think about it. 160 in the pot for another 80. Really should give this up. There's no reason to do something that's going to damage yourself. Okay, so we're going to jump through the windows. We're going to take a look at a single table tournament now. We're down on a $10 single table. Oh, I'm back on the MTT. Who'd have thought? Out one window, straight back through the same window. Okay, we're going to jump round and just show you some of the players we have here. You can see again the point we're making, the chip stacks here, not really much change between them. If anyone's brave enough, Stanters has got himself 2 pair. Not going to be too pleased to see the spade come down. A 3rd spade on the river means there's a flush possibility out there for somebody. Lucky for him, it's not happened, but that's a nice big juicy bet there. Ghost Zapper. That could have been very easy for Stanters to give up in light of that spade. But Ghost Zapper pretty much waving the flag in the air, saying, yes, you know those maniacs you mentioned a minute ago? I'll be one of those then. Tragic Trev, a familiar face on our screens. Well, Sop Wands also. Picking up a pretty decent hand there. Ace-Jack suited, worth limping in with just in case magic appears on the flop. Rainbow flop. Our wonderful 4-colour deck making that more apparent than normal. Well, pair of 7s is actually got the best of it, but probably won't believe it. To put out a small bet here, it's probably a bit too big, but it might do the job. But a small bet there would have brought him the information that says whether anybody wants to fight or not. As it goes, it did exactly the job. Scares everybody else off. And it really depends on your style of play in the early stages of multi-table, whether you're very much about survival and being tight and waiting for premium hands, or whether you believe now is the time to gamble because the blinds are so small. And you can afford to be a bit more speculative, see a few more flops. It's a real bone of contention whether that's the way to play and then become tighter. Because we hear from so many people who are good at getting to the middle stages of these multi-table tournaments, but by the time they get there, they don't have enough chips to fight. And don't forget, we've got 120 players spread around all our lovely green tables. Let's go and take a look at another one of these before we head off to one of our single table tournaments. And here we can see our chip leader is Broughtton down in seat 6 with 3,500. And as you probably gathered from the 3 tables we've just seen, the average is still around the 1,300 mark. Pair of 5s versus pair of 8s. I wouldn't believe that Broughtton got this far by being loose and bonkers. Bonkers is an official poker term, not to be confused with crazy. And that 4, 5, 6, 7 is not, sadly, a straight. I do try and tell friends and family 4 cards is not enough. In poker, you've always got to make 5 cards. Pair of 4s. Pair of 4s again, not a hand you really want to spend too much money on if you think you can raise it and push people away, but is out of position here. A pair of 4s, if it's worth playing at all, you just want to get in cheap and see if you get lucky. But certainly not a hand you want to get too attached to. If you're going to try and limp in with these small pocket pairs, the truth you have to accept is that if you don't hit anything, you can no longer expect to have the best of it. And with a hand like 4, you are you're pretty much 100% guaranteed to see at least one overcard on the flop, at which point you can no longer consider yourself ahead. Sweet irony of my conversation. Pair of 4s is still ahead. Now it isn't. Thank God for that. Thought I was going to look stupid on television for a second there. A couple of draws out there. Broughtton has the best of it. Broughtton takes another one down. King, Queen, seat 8. Really not much more to talk about here. Duplicate hands in reverse here. 9 jack, diamonds and hearts. One player likes it enough to play, and one on the button, which is the best position to be in as your last to act, decides not to. For exactly this reason, there are players behind that might want to raise it up, and there you might have wanted to limp him with jack 9. Do you want to keep paying for it? Fruit Bat has made himself a pair, but the ace on the board's going to spoil his fun. Be interesting to find out. No, I was interested to see there if he got checked whether Broughtton would make a little positional bet there just to try and find out a bit about Fruit Bat. More tiny pocket pairs for seat 2. But he's up against a pair of jacks. A pair of jacks seems to cause a lot of people a lot of trouble. You've either got to play it aggressively, or you've got to treat it like a pair of 2s and just hope that it improves on the flop, or certainly doesn't get beaten. But there's plenty of cards can come down out of the 5 cards on the board that's going to make jacks look weak. So you really want to see a junky rainbow low flop here. He's got himself 3 callers, which is horrible because he knows the odds of somebody else hitting something have vastly grown, but the jacks are still good. Only little bully has got himself a straight draw. If a 5 came down on the next 2 cards. But Fruit Bat doing the best thing and making it expensive. Rajan being a bit crazy here. Wow, and they're on the river. See, there's no justice in the world for Fruit Bat. He'll be lucky to get away from this because he really does seem to have got very attached to these jacks. And there you go, he saves himself some money at the end. Rajan gets pretty lucky there, to be honest with you. But that's the way it can go with those small pairs. So that's our multi-table tournament. We're going to be in and out of that all night long. As I say, as the tables break down, the chips will grow, the players will reduce, and we'll have some action. But we are going to jump right now into a cash game. So let's take a look there. So here we are. This is one of our cash games we like to tune into, 25 cents, 50 cents. Don't be fooled by that amount. The pots can still get pretty juicy simply because of the nature of it being no limit that we feature here on Poker Night Live. And as the name would suggest, that means that people can bet from the very minimum 50 right up to all the chips in front of them. Around the table, a few familiar names. Snap It being one of our long-serving regulars here. Also one of our participants in the website's forum. And not doing too badly here. With these cash tables, the maximum you can sit down with is $50. So looking around the table, it would not be crazy to assume that that's probably what most of these guys did, as there's so many of them that are still hovering around that, $44, $49, $47. And you would have to say that Running Lee, obviously having a pretty bumper night, as he's already got himself up to $121. You can see that, the leaderboard, as mentioned, those bottom 5 guys probably not been in the game too long, or they've just had a bit of up, a bit of down. And that's the point with cash games, is the variance is less than tournaments. Tournaments, you might play 10 tournaments before you win one, but the payout in tournaments is so great that it makes up for it. Here in the cash game, it's a grind. Put the kettle on, sit yourself down. You could be here for a while. Pair of queens, feeling pretty confident, not feeling like anyone's bet in a way to make him think a king's out there, but probably would have been far more happy if a king hadn't been there, pushed a bit harder, felt a bit more confident. A couple of weak aces out there, if you consider ace-9 weak, and I do. Can't imagine anybody else is tempted to sit around in this. And Running Lee showing maybe why he's doing so well. 2-5 is not a hand you want to play, but he's got position on everybody else, and he just makes a raise up here, takes it from 50 cents up to $2. And Assiduous, I'm sure, just sticking around because of the fact that his cards are suited. It's not a very wise thing to chase. A lot of people do this. It's a bit of a fingers crossed method of poker. Is ace-5 in itself isn't the strongest ace to play. but people feel compelled to stick in the hand because they're suited, and if 3 diamonds come down, you got the nuts. Problem is, you're 118 to 1 to flop that, so you know that even if you were lucky enough to hit 4 suited cards to make a flush draw, if you've got an opponent that's betting into you, you're going to have to pay for it. And this is going to be a split pot, as 4 of the straight cards have come down. Running Lee probably thinks he's got a better bet, but actually they both have the 5. And there you go. It's always the way. Isn't actually, it's a lie. Casper would shoot me if I said things like, that's always the way, because it's never the way. He's got a whole maths thing going on in his head. Snap it, pocket 5s. Again, in the cash game, it's the same logic really. See if you can get involved, see if you get lucky, because you're unlikely to still be winning by the time the flop comes down. Something like a 97% chance of seeing 3 overcards. Ace King should be raising this up around to $2, something like that. And there you go, good boy. Be surprised if he gets called by anybody. Even Snap It might just go, all right then, let's see the flop. But that's good enough. Almost regardless of whether Gullo would hit that or not, I think a bet out of Gullo would be enough to see Snap It run away. But as it stands, if only you could see what we see. And don't forget, folks, it's kind of obvious, but if you're new to the format here, we get to see everybody's whole cards. Of course they do not, because that just would be silly, wouldn't it? But here's your opportunity to see some very good online players, see some different styles, find out who the bluffers are, find out how different people play different hands. And that's a bet by Snap It, really designed to find out if he's being mucked around with. I'm sure that he will now fold to any bet that he sees. Save himself some money. Jack Queen might be considered worth a go at here on the button, in last position, so has the advantage of acting last in the next round. See what everybody fancies doing. Would be surprised if anybody else stays in other than the blinds. And in fact, if he feels compelled to make a bet here, well, the ace-4 raises 150 and it's enough to chase him off. Fair dues, disciplined move. And there you go, that's all it takes, ace-4. Who'd have thought an ace-4 could be so scary? Suited king-queen round the top of your screen. Well, there you could see on your screen the percentage of pre-flop folds. Snap It by far and away the most disciplined and cautious. Or maybe he's just had the worst hands. Who knows? We've not really been watching the game long enough to read too much into those statistics, but they're always good to take a check at. And also good to check your own statistics when you start playing online for any serious amount of time. The key thing to do is misinformation in this game can actually be worse than no information. So you can't play for an hour and pick your statistics apart. It's only once you've had a considerable amount of hands roll past that statistics start to mean something. But it's a great way to find out exactly which hands you consistently overplay and see which hands serve you best and in which position. Pretty sure that if a king comes down here on the turn or river, Running Lee could get himself into a bit of trouble here. Gullo taking the aggressive stance here. If you think you got the best hand, which he clearly does, make a bet. And at worst, if you get a reply, you know where you stand. Check into people's checks really doesn't get you anything but a free card. You never know where you are. Even if you hit the card, you've no idea if they've already been setting traps for you. Suited connectors down there. Chris Goshen. Just going to limp in, but Shaky Shark says no. At least give me another dollar if you want to play. Might still fancy it. He's in the cut-off position. And that gives him 2 to his flush. It really depends if Shaky Shark can make this expensive enough to push Chris off his draw. Because a draw is just that. It looks like it's full of potential, but you're kind of crossing your fingers and hoping that the cards you need to see come down. Shaky Shark does the right thing by betting, and Chris does the right thing by letting it go. It really is one of the best skills you can develop in poker, is letting go of hands when you no longer think they have enough potential to keep paying. Lots of people are very good at playing good hands, but not so many people good at letting reasonable hands go. And as we always say, the money you save is twice as good as the money that you win. Can't remember why, shinier or something. I'm sure somebody knew why. Well, battle of the bonkers hands here. Big Queen 9 versus Big Queen 10. Who will win? Well, gut shot draw for Running Lee. Gut shot draw. Well, he fancies a gut shot enough to bet at it. Has a think about it, lets it go. Again, fair dues. If it's just a draw, that's all it is. I've seen too many people get knocked out of tournaments because they had an amazing draw. I've still got cards to come, and I've got the nuts draw possible. It's only a possibility. If you run into somebody with a pair of twos, they've got a hand. Pair of eights, one of my personal favourites. No idea why, don't even ask me. It's not even a great hand, but I just like playing eights. Considered lucky in some places, but only if you actually hit another 8 and make your set. But it's a pocket pair, makes a bet. Got a funny feeling you could get called by both Running Lee suited connectors are tempting. He's in the big blind, he's thinking 150. No, that's a good discipline fold. Not surprised that he got called by the ace-6 suited, but neither of them have improved too much, and now Geza just finds out whether the king is in his hand, but no, there he goes, eights. I told you eights were good. So you always play eights. Okay, we're going to quickly go to an email. We got an email from Gary, top jockey, good evening. I need help. I'm playing poker online for a year. I've been playing in $1, $2 cash games and $10, $20 multi-table tournaments. I'm winning on average $1,000 to $2,000 a week. Various different sites. Percentages. Best hand I played was in a multi-table tournament last Saturday. Pocket jacks, I spoke about this a little bit while ago. Pocket jacks, never too sure what to do with those. Had an early position, limp in. The blinds were 1,000, 2,000. Got raised and flat called. Flop came jack, jack, ace. Not too shabby for a pair of jacks. Checks, and there's a bet for 3,000. The next card turn is an ace. So now you've got jack, jack, ace, ace. Sounds very improbable, but I believe you. 5,000 bet. Everybody calls. The river's a 6. Two lads put 5,000. There's lots of money coming out of this. I can't follow this. There's lots of money going around here. But finally, the guy goes all in. He gets called by both to see two lads both had ace-king. And that was the best solo play I've ever done. So we've got a guy with pocket jacks runs into a flop of jack, jack, ace. Then another ace comes to find two opponents with ace-king. That's pretty incredible. Should I raise my buy-ins or stay as I am? P.S. I'd marry any of the girls on the show. That's nice. Should you raise your buy-ins? The truth is, it's very hard for most people to know when to go up a level. You should only move up a level when you really think that you're super, super on top of the level you're at and that you need to take your game further. Too many people make the mistake of playing at a certain level and they enjoy success and then they jump up, because the truth is, as soon as you go even to the very next level, you only need to have a fairly reasonable run of bad luck, and that will just eat through all the profit you worked so hard on. So it's more about, you should move up when you feel you've got the bankroll to sustain the next level, and also when you're actually feeling that you're not just like, you've not just had 3 good tournaments where you came in the money, I'm going to move up a level, that you've really been consistently examining your game and you know that you're able to take on the next level. But that sounds like an incredible hand to get into there, and plenty of money to be made, so good on you, Squire. Other than that, keep us posted, let us know how you get on. But with that, I think we're going to jump down to take another look at the MTT, see how the boys are getting on down there. Well, we have Aussie 311. He is our current chip leader here in the MTT. Just been overtaken by Jamati. But we are down to 97 people left here now. We started off with 120, don't forget. $1,200 in the prize pool. And the guy sweating the most that you can't currently see has got only 250 chips left. So somebody somewhere is panicking. But the blinds are only 25.50. And that's the difference. A lot of people that move from playing single table tournaments onto multi-table tournaments don't realize how much time they have, because many of the online single table tournaments, they do have very aggressive blinds. They do move quite quickly. And obviously, if you have a blind structure that's tied into the number of hands, so if it's every 10 hands, then on multi-table tournaments, the tables are constantly balancing out. Whereas in the single tables, as people get chopped down, it's faster that the blinds come round to you, it's faster hands, and before you know it, if you don't make a move, you get whittled away with your chips. But here we are, it's still only 25.50. We've already lost 20-odd players. Still a fair way to go. Don't forget, these guys, you've got to get in the top 10 here to even get $18 for a $10 buy-in. So a long way to go. Aussie and Jamati obviously been doing something right. Aussie gets himself, again, pair of eights. I hope we see lots of this. Pair of eights versus pair of jacks again. Well, 10 King has decided that that's good enough to go all in. 510. Scorpicus has got him covered with plenty of chips left, and so has Aussie. So Aussie actually there. Well, there you go. What did I tell you? Eights. It's a sign. Surprised that Aussie took that bet there. Pocket eights are very easily beaten. But once they turn into a three of a kind, laughing all the way to the bank. And now Aussie really is our ship leader. Best part of $7 grand. Shares the name with one of my guinea pigs. Just thought I'd throw that in there. Bit of poker trivia. Read them and weep. Jack 6, Jack 4. Jamati not in the best position, but decides to make an aggressive bet, and it works for him. Suited connectors on the button if he's allowed to limp in. May well take a sniff at this. Any of these guys, Grayskull, Anton, or Kirkle, if that is, if they were going to stick around hoping for more clubs, they would have been sorely disappointed, because most of the deck was already out in other people's hands. Another pair of eights. Gonna have to keep tally. I think that's 3 or 4 of those we've had now. Gets called by the Jack Queen. I can't imagine Anton's going to call this. Why would you call that? I mean, I appreciate he's hit himself a draw, but he must know that he's under the gun, he's first to act. There are 3 other players against him that clearly must have a hand, because they've also all calls or raise. What sort of a flop was he hoping to see? Jack, Jack, Ace, like our friend Gary. And now is he going to just keep paying and keep paying? The eights need to let go, because there's kings and queens on board and people betting. Anton, I think, is hoping that if he just keeps pushing chips at it, he'll scare people away. But with $1 in the pot at this stage, I can't see Athlete letting go of this. Anton, the only way he's going to win this is to keep betting, but it's not enough. All right, well, plenty of stuff going on there. Let's see Aussie there. Let's see how he gets on when we come back to him a bit later on. We're going to jump over again, leapfrog over to another one of the MTT tables. Let's see who we have here. Well, nobody here short stacked. So, Cat Attack, a regular. Chris, we were watching a bit earlier on. Cat Attack has only gone and got himself a nice big flush. He'll really want to kill this now. Tavius, he's made his set. Again, here are the small pocket pairs. Been allowed to limp in, made the set. In the face of 3 spades on the flop and someone acting before you making a big bet, I'm really hoping that cat attack comes back over the top of this and Tavius gets the message, because it's one of the worst things you see in most games is that people ignore the message being flagged back at them. Because cat attack with 10 high, if another spade came down, does it really fancy his chances anymore? Because 10 is great, but somebody's jack of spades, queen of spades, king of spades, ace of spades, if any of those are just out there being played as a weak ace, he could be in trouble. Maybe he's just going to give Tavius enough rope to hang himself here and come back over the top of him. Keeps calling it, now he's got to worry because the full house. And that's the problem with cat attack's play, is he let 2 free cards in there and Tavius made himself a full house on the turn. Had he not, cat attack gave him another card. And cat attack really made the mistake of trying to slow play it and giving Tavius cheap cards. I would have liked to see cat attack be a bit more aggressive there in the face of that raise to re-raise it, because if he then gets a call, well, you know that there's something fishy going on there. But he pretty much just walked into that and gave away nearly his entire stack. Ace king decides to move all in. Clash of the Titans, ace king, arm wrestling. Fight! Well, it's going to be a split pot. Nothing's going to change that. Everybody quite relieved to just get their money back. So they are more multi-table stuff. As mentioned, we're going to keep coming to this on and off during the evening. But first of all, another email from Jane from Essex. Hello, Essex Jane. Hi, Matt. All alone. Just at the moment. Surprise guest any minute now. Could you give me some advice on playing pocket aces? What a horrible predicament to be in, eh? Pocket aces. Should I slow play them to get more money at the risk of being outdrawn, or play them fast to guarantee winning? Thanks a lot and keep up the good work, Jane. 2 kisses as well. Hi, Jane. Pocket aces, it's a very good question. The truth is, it depends what your objective is. Everyone wants to get dealt pocket aces. Hurrah, I've got it. The truth is, pocket aces can be beat, so it really depends how much of a risk you feel like taking and what your objective is. If you just are the sort of person who has memories of forever being given pocket aces and losing, and most people say, I always seem to lose when I get pocket aces, and the reason is because they're so hard to let go of. So you've got pocket aces, and the flop comes down 9, 10, jack, they're suited, there's straights, there are people betting, and you're going, but this pocket aces, I can't let go of it. So the truth is, you've got to decide. Because if you go up against somebody one-on-one, you are going to win with your pocket aces 4 out of 5 times. So that sounds pretty good. It's a guaranteed, pretty much guaranteed, you're going to win it. So you get your aces, you make a big move. The only people that are going to call you are people with decent hands, and you're going to win that 4 out of 5 times. The difference is, if you want to try and maximize your profit, if you slow play aces, if you end up against 10 people, you're only going to win your hand 3 out of 10 times with aces, because there's going to be so much more action, so many more possibilities. But of course, if you do still go on to win that hand, you've got more people investing in the pot. So the truth is, there's not one specific way you have to play aces, but the truth is you need to decide what you want. Do you want to try and risk being outdrawn to make more money, or do you want to just take the money now? And you just, if you're going to play to slow play and let people in, you've just got to be prepared to treat that as one pair. That's all it is. I mean, and how often do we see one pair win? We've just seen flushes, we've seen full houses, we've seen sets. You have to remember that pocket ace is the best starting hand, but by the time 5 more cards have come down, that doesn't mean it's still going to be the best hand. All it is a very good pair. That's a good question. Thank you very much for that. We're going to jump down and take a look at the first of our single table tournaments now. We're going to jump through to the blue window. This is a $20 sit and go. Super popular online. No hanging around, no waiting for a specific time. Once the table's full, you all go. And don't forget, a little bit later on, I shall be juggling, taking you on in Beat the Presenter at a nice little sit and go. If anybody's kind enough to let me sit down. Ten, jack, queen, king, ace. Monty makes the straight. Fish and chips needs to see the signs. It's a weak ace at best, and that's exactly the right thing. It was only a small bet, only a bet of 60, but can't believe he's still winning. The game's only just begun. Blinds are 10 and 20. And that's a situation where to get involved and see the flop is fair dues. Hardly cost anything, but as soon as anybody starts challenging you for a sizable chunk of your chips, why would you want to knock yourself out of the tournament this early? Thanks again to Jane from Essex for her email. Don't forget, do keep your emails and texts coming in. You can text us 62211 or email us poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. Any questions, any anecdotes, any subjects you'd like me to prattle on about? We're here until 2 a.m. I can prattle for hours. Well, Loomis, a regular name. Shaky Shark we've already seen on another table. All these guys multi-tabling. Everyone kind of doing what I spoke about before in this early stage is trying to see if they can get some cheap flops, see if they can hit some hands and accumulate some chips earlier on to take with them to the later stages. But as soon as anybody pushes them, they jump out if they haven't made a hand, which is fair dues. Top pair for Loomis with a weak kicker. 10-4. 8, 9, 10. Jack Queen. Well, if that's what Matador was waiting for, he's a very lucky boy. And now Loomis is going, oh, hang on. I don't like the look of this. Matador, just going to bet here and take it? Yeah, that's fair dues. Makes it pretty clear to Loomis what he's got. Loomis with a very, very loose call there. Matador's not going to go away. And if the call on the turn was loose, the call on the river was even more so, because there were now 2 overcards that could have beaten Loomis's queens. Pocket Rockets, fish and chips, egg and bacon. Seat 1, we have a winner. So be interesting to see. We had Jane's email. Be interested to see what fish and chips does here. Look, here he goes. All right, well, let's see how this works. So he's just going to limp in. Loomis thinks that he's making a positional raise and is going to scare everybody off. Will fish and chips be savvy enough to maybe just call this? Because now his head's up. He makes a raise. Loomis in a very loose mood. Wondering what he was hoping to see. The king doesn't actually hurt him, but he didn't need a king because the pocket aces. Well, Loomis, if you hit a heart here, mate, good luck to you. But unlikely. What's going on? Get in touch with us, mate. Tell us what was going on there. Did you kind of misread your hand? Did you think you were in a different position? So it's very easy to sit here because, well, it's very easy to sit here because they put seats in the studio. But apart from that, it's very easy to sit here because we can see everybody's hands. We can just sit here and comment. But maybe he had a different read on his opponent. Maybe there was some history. Maybe they were at school together. Who knows? But fish and chips managed to squeeze all of Loomis's chips there. So there you are, Jane. Have a pair of aces. And that was interesting because of the position. He was almost able to limp him, but with the advantage of being heads up. So his opponent has no information about him, but fish and chips has the best position to sort of practically guarantee winning with the ace-4. Sorry, the ace-ace. Say 4 out of 5 times you're going to win that. Only a hideous flop is going to spoil your pocket aces. Both have jacks, but Golf Mad Chef has the best kicker. Matador probably still likely to lose some money here. No, checked and checked. Probably a bit scared about the possible straights that were existing. Suited connectors for fish and chips. Gets himself 2 more clubs. Monty hasn't hit anything, and Fish and Chips might get a free card here unless he feels compelled to make a positional bet, which he does, which probably should do the job if Monty's a decent enough player. He's sitting here on the $20 sit and go, so he's obviously prepared to commit a bit of dosh to his game. That is going to hurt because 7, 8, 9, 10 Jack. Monty probably thinks, wahaha, I've made my straight, but Fish and Chips has actually picked up the flush. Monty must see that. Monty. Down, Monty. Down. Fish and Chips could be concerned that the 3-4 is a pretty weak pair of cards in clubs, but yeah, it's not too scary. Now is he worried about full houses, Jack 9, Jack 8, something like that? Monty probably going to go all in here. 750 in the pot. Is he going to see if he can just, no, 400. Still a pretty strong bet. Fish and Chips. Are you going to put this down? I'd be very amazed if you do. There's enough stuff to be scared about, but the fact that Monty burst to life towards the end there, again, we can see the cards, so I see to say, but you might be tempted to see a straight or even a 3 of a kind on the jacks, but Fish and Chips picks it up. Monty left with a couple of pence left to play with. Now you can see that move, jumps Fish and Chips right up to, sorry, oh, Fishing for Chips. I've been misreading his name. I think Fish and Chips is better. I'm going to call you that for the rest of the night. Apologies. Fish and Chips up the top there. 2.5 grand, the nearest next is 1280. Loomis has gone and Monty is down to the last couple of hundred. Blinds are 1020, so I mean Monty has still got more than 10 times the big blinds. Don't panic just yet. You might be all right. Kings, Matador picks himself a bit of luck. Be interesting to see if Martinic keeps going. Matador trying to check and set a trap. Going to have to bet here. Probably not going to get paid off, but you never know. If he makes it small enough, he might just pick up a few more chips. 480, half of Martinic's stack. Ace King for Matador. Don't really see too many hands that's likely to get involved here other than just a check from Fishing for Chips. Fishing for Chips. Matador could do making a little bet here just to find out where he is. And he finds out that he's in the lead. Picks up a couple of blinds. The blinds are so small at this stage you can't really go after the blinds. Stealing the blinds would be far more strategic later on, but it never hurts because right now you just want to be watching the chip stacks at your table, thinking about what you need to do to move up a level, you know, move up a place in the finishing, and how many blinds you got left. So even though we're looking at Monty and thinking he's a bit low, he's still got plenty of blinds left. Now at 20-40. Nice big raise, Fishing for Chips on the button. Just edging ahead his little lead here. Golf Mad Chef, sitting very quietly. Matador, a player that likes to get a bit more involved. And that's something you could have picked up regardless of the fact we can see their cards. Even if we couldn't see their cards, it doesn't take too long watching this game to see who the active players are and who are the guys more likely to sit back. 19 Jack, Queen, King for Danny. The Queen for Shaky Shark could get him in trouble, but he's going to find out now that somebody has a hand. Shaky is first to act, still feels compelled to make a bet. Matador finally gives it up. Shaky still felt compelled to pay off Danny. Fair dues. Lots of clubs out there. They both picked up a little piece of this. Fisher's got the 9s, Golfer's got the 4s, but a bet from Fisher's enough to get rid of him. And you can see these guys lasting a while here because the blinds are going to gradually tick up, but no one's really too crazy. Matador's made a few moves, but he seems to have quietened down. He still likes to get involved. And there's nothing wrong with doing that with ace-queen suited. King 7, really not strong enough to call a raise that big, I would say. Because what sort of flop do you want to see that makes you happy? Well done, Monty. He had to give up his big blind, but he still has enough chips. He's got an orbit at the table coming up that's for free, in inverted commas. He's got a pair of 8s. Shaky throws away a pair of 2s there. Monty should do something with this, although he's unlikely to get paid off. Even just doubling the blind. Well, no real surprise to see he gets called there. Will we see a spade fall and ruining my lovely 8s? No. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, there you go. My 8s have been ruined. I was so waiting for the flush that I didn't even notice the straight creep up. Damn straight. Suited connects as fish and chips. Fishing for chips. Fishing for chips picks up another one. Stays top of the leaderboard. So that's our single table tournament. We're going to come back to that shortly. We're just going to quickly take in an email. We have an email from Carl Andrews. Hello, Carl. Matt, just thought I'd let you know a situation I found myself in the other day when I folded pocket aces. I was down to the last 3 of a sit and go. The blinds were high but not crippling. I was the shortest stack, but not by much. I was on the button and was dealt aces. I raised 3 times the big blind. The small blind called and the big blind re-raised. I then folded, reasoning that one of the other players was going to get knocked out, which they did. What do you think? What do you think of my players? I've had a lot of stick from all my mates, but I still think I did the right thing. P.S. The winning hand was ace-king suited and he hit his flush. P.P.S. I went on to win the thing. Hooray. Throwing away a really powerful hand to move up a position, it really depends what your objective is. If you just want to get in the money and you're on the bubble, then fine. If that's what makes you happy, throw it away. The truth is, though, you should always have your eye on the big prize. As it stands here, you're saying you went on to win the thing, so it doesn't matter. But the truth is, a pair of aces is a hand you should be playing. You should be looking to make chips with that. To be honest, if you've been raised all in, it's not going to get much better than having that happen to you and you've got a pair of aces, let's be honest. And you want to have your eye on the prize, because a bit like the multi-table tournament we watch, it's only in the top few spaces that the money becomes really significant, because that's the nature of tournaments. So to throw away a pair of aces, which is a hand that you could possibly double or triple up on, just to like see somebody else knock out and step up, I understand your logic, but the truth is, I mean, this is one of Mark Banin's kind of statements, is that you're in a tournament to win it, to come first. And I don't think that you can truly say, is throwing away a pair of aces a move that is designed to win you the tournament? It's about letting other people knock themselves out. You've got the short stack, you want to survive. But if you're on a short stack, at some point you're going to have to make a move, aren't you? Because you're the short stack. If you don't fancy it with aces, what's the worst you're going to run into? Another pair of aces, and it's a split pot. Or somebody with a big pair and they're going to get knocked out. So the truth is, I think you've got to play aces. You have got to play aces because you want to win it. But thank you for your email. We are very pleased to get your emails and your texts. Don't forget, you can get in touch with us. 62211. 62211 is the number for your texts. 4 for £1. You can also email us at pokernightlive.co.uk. And don't forget, you can also hear yourself live on Poker Night Live, 0906 200 7080. And you will hear yourselves live on the show. So keep them coming. We've still got plenty of show to go. We're here till 2 a.m. We're going to have Beat the Presenter. You will have your chance to pull my trousers down, quite literally, in a virtual poker way. We're going to have more emails, more single table tournament stuff, and we're going to drop back in on our cash game, as well as pick up our multi-table tournament. We will see you after this break. Hello, welcome back to Poker Night Live. I am still here, waiting for your emails. Please do get in touch with the show. We're still here till 2 a.m. and we want all of your emails and texts. So please do get in touch with us. Here's how you can do that. You can text us on 62211. That is 62211. I'm waiting. You can also email us Poker@pokernightllive.co.uk is the email address. And you can also have your say. Hear yourself live. Embarrass yourself to millions. 0906 200 7080. Okay. So that is the score. I'm just going to quickly jump to an email. We have an email from Dave from Southampton. Thanks for your email. Hi, Poker Night Live. I am just a play money winner watching the show. I'd like to know if there's any situation when low cards such as 5, 6 or 2, 4 will be a favourite. I thought that it may be a favourite against 3 or 4 all-in callers, believing they have high aces or pairs. Well, there's no real time that 5, 6 is good unless you're up against 3, 4. The only time that a hand like that might be worth playing is if you're in a situation that a lot of people get to, where they're in a tournament and they are short-stacked. Most people have decided, the next good hand I get, I'm going all in. And they wait until they've got king 6 or ace 4 and they go, right, that's it, I'm all in. The thing to think about is when you're doing that panicky I'm all in, what hand are you likely to get called by? And chances are you're likely to get called by somebody holding something similar. So you wait till you get ace 4 and you go, yes, an ace, I'm all in. You're all in with any amount of chips. Most people are probably going to fold out. The only person that's going to call you is probably somebody with a hand that stands a good chance of beating you. So it's just a suggestion. But if you're going to get to that stage where, like, my last 200, I'm all in. If you go in with something like 5, 6, the difference is if you do get called by ace 10 or that kind of a hand, at least both of your cards are live. If you go in with ace 9, you're going to get called by somebody with something like ace jack or ace queen. So one of your cards is automatically dead. At least if you get all your money in, I mean, the cards you're talking about are pretty low. So this kind of analogy really works more with things like 8, 9 or 9, 10, something like that. But other than that, the truth is these cards are never going to be winning cards. The only time you even want to play those is if somebody has allowed you to limp in, you get to see a flop for cheap and you make something out of it. But no, the truth is those aren't hands that you want to go far with. If you're playing on the play tables, maybe that's what's generated this question, because a lot of people on the play tables will play anything because it hasn't cost them, and they just want to play cards and they just want to get lucky and see what happens. So maybe if you're witnessing hands like this winning, it's probably not a great education. But maybe move up, try some of that. There's some real nice, cheap and cheerful like tournaments get involved in. You'll find that even for the small amount of buy-in, people will take the game far more seriously than they do the play money games. But I would say no, don't get too attached to the low, especially if they're not even connected, they're not even suited, because you really are crossing your fingers, praying for a miracle on the flop to turn those cards into a winning hand. But thanks very much. If you do make that transition, keep us posted. We're going to jump down and take a look at that sit and go tournament we left just before the break. And while we do that, I'm also going to jump into a game and see if anybody wants to try and beat me. I'm sure there'll be plenty of people more than happy to do that. And as we see, fishing for chips, still chip leader down there, but pair of 10s gets crazy, picks up some blinds. Pocket aces for Matador. Runs into a pair of 10s, makes it 160. Some nice people are trying to save me a seat on their tournament. Well, 10s can't like it anymore. King, Queen. And if you can hear this crazy clicking in the background, it's me attempting to find a free seat in a tournament so you can all kick me around. Ace King for Fish and Chips, going to run into suited Ace King for Danny. Well, Fish and Chips, he's got a chip lead. Does he want to get into a fight? He doesn't. See, there you go. I'm in a game which we will pick apart as I spin plates on sticks and present and commentate and play poker. But thanks very much to the kind people that gave up their seat for me. Very good of you. Ace, 2, 3, 5. They both have the gut shot draw. Matador is the aggressor. First to act, first to bet, takes it. And apologies to the guys I'm playing with. There's lots of chat going on. I'm probably not going to be able to be too chatty, simply because I'm doing so many things. Pair of twos for Matador. That's a pretty juicy bet, and that's a pretty positive call from Matador. The nines have already got him killed. Only a two. No, he doubles up Shaky Shark. Suited king for fish and chips. Fish and chips going to start bullying people with his big chip stack. The blind's now 40-80, so 120 to be stolen, not to be sniffed at. Ace Jack. $6.90 is going to have to watch out here, old Martanic. Matador, see, I spotted this before, aggressive moves. And the other guys at the table are going to have to be careful here, because Matador, between his aggressive moves, regardless of whether he has a hand or not, no one can really know what they're up against. And there he actually has a hand and they fault him, but he's actually picking up momentum. And you know, a lot of people talk about the differences between online gaming and live gaming, as we see Golf Mad pick up pocket kings, as regards how you can build up a table image. But it does happen online. You feel a momentum building up. Here, the hands are going to kill this dead. Matador needs to get out of this. But you can feel it. You have a couple of hands where you just feel the pace pick up. You win a couple of legit hands, you bluff a couple of hands, and you need to ride that. That little moment out for as long as you can. Golf Mad takes Shaky out. Unlucky Shaky. We are down to our 5 guys. Ace-8 decided that's what and that's the point I was making. See, no doubt he's been waiting for an ace to make his move. But the truth is, the only hand likely to make a call of him is probably somebody with a card like an ace against them. Sorry, in their hand, should I say. But possibly a better kicker than that. As we see a couple of pockets. Pocket nines, pocket queens, ace king. Not the worst selection in the world. Ace King, golfers decide that's it. He's going all in, see if he can get some callers. He might actually get some callers here. Queens is probably going to fancy that. No questions asked. Golfer's still got a few chips left to play with. If he doesn't get what he wants. Queens and eights, Matador. His bonkers play combined with some good cards and some good draws. I've seen him going to the chip lead. Ace-7, ace-2. Jack-7, not very much in the way of cards, but because of people now getting down to the low chip stacks, the blind's 81-60. Anybody with a hand that's playable is probably good enough to go all in with at this stage. Fish and chips might call this. He's got him covered. Unlikely that Matador want to get involved. Just let these guys fight it out. Fish is going to want to see a 9. He does not. Golf Mad's going to be more than happy to get back in the game on equal with Fish and Chips. Fish and Chips chip lead sliding away. But again, he's got 1400 with the blinds 8160. The boys on the table are teasing me. They're suggesting that my brain won't be able to cope with this for much longer and I'll start reading out the cards in the game rather than the game that we're watching. Never going to happen, boys. Multitasking. Matador, love to see another club, should I say, which he does. Very nearly a straight draw. A straight draw. See, my brain is going to straight flush. They're right, I can't do two things at once. Matador gets another premium hand here on the button. Be nice if people thought he was just making a move position-wise. Queen is good for Matador. Drawing dead. And we're down to the bubble here. We've got the money winners here in our single table tournament. Golf Man has survived. Matador, who has been all over the place, he's getting involved in all sorts of hands. He has made it down to the money. Fair dues to him. Fish and Chips might fancy his suited connectors. An ace in there. Goes all in. Matador, I think, is as crazy as he's been. I don't think he's likely to go in with this. Even though he looks at the opportunity to cover Fish and Chips and take him out of the tournament, he could also put him into a more dangerous position. Jack 5 really protecting his big blind 160 for a 1500 bet. It's not really representing much to Matador as far as value goes. And he will last a lot longer playing no hands than these guys can. Not suggesting that he wants to do that, but he doesn't have any pressure on him to play junk. Ace 3, getting lots of aces, getting lots of hearts, old fishy. Go for his all in again. And there we see percentage of hands plays. Matador, pretty much in accordance with what we've said, has been very, very busy. But he's done well out of it. Because of his aggressiveness, no one really knew whether he had a hand half the time or not, and they just gave it away. And he must have loved the fact that most of the time when they actually got involved with him were the times that he did have hands. Fish and Chips, getting crazy. The three boys on the bubble are still finding it out. Six, 7 and the big blind. Ace Jack, well, Fish is definitely going to go in for this. There's a 9. Ace or a Jack for Fish? No. And the 9s is good enough, and Fishy finishes in 3rd place. He was our chip leader for most of that tournament. At least he was in the money. Well done, Fish. Fishing for chips, not Fish and Chips, which I called you for most of the game, but I'm sure you'll forgive me. My brain hurts. And we're down to our heads up. Golf Mad, who was pretty quiet until these last few stages. Bided his time, waited for some hands. But he's now just 1,000 under Matador's chip count with blinds at 163.20. So you're not going to be able to just hang on at this stage because the blinds will start doing damage fairly quickly. And of course, this is a perfect excuse, because if I'm rubbish in the game I'm playing, I can just say, well, I was so distracted by everything else going on. Matador, bound to make a move with this, has made such a number of moves with far less hands. Pretty conservative move for him. Could well smell a bit fishy to golf mad. He's had enough. Come on, let's get it over and done with, he says. Is Matador going to fancy this? Matador's suddenly gone very shyness. Making full use of his little ticky bar there. Well, that's so strange. We've seen him make so many big moves with so many far weaker hands than that. There was me thinking he was just a gambler, but maybe there was a plan and now he's turned into a rock. Matador takes back the initiative. And these boys seem to be playing it as all or nothing. There's not too much. It's pretty much all in or fold before the flop even comes down. And there's the 10. Matador's going to pick that up. Well done, Matador. You were crazy bonkers, but it worked. And we can see there lots of pipe cleaners all having sex. No, it's the chip movement graph. And you can see Fishy there. Look, he had the best of it. Fishing for chips was there right till the end. And then when it got down to short-handed, his game sort of fell apart. But well done to Matador. And we've got a surprise for you. It's been a long, lonely night, but I'd like to introduce you to my new best friend. Mr. Mark Banin has joined us here.
How are you doing, Matt?
Very well, thank you. Good to see you here.
Yeah, you've done quite a job there, commentating on both, and I was surprised you didn't mention a few of those hands on there. So that wasn't
easy. It wasn't easy, but it's very nice to have a friend. So we're going to quickly jump to an email. In fact, Mark, would you like to take an email from me?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Let's have a look.
We've got an email from Dave from Southampton.
Okay.
Oh, actually, I'll tell you what. No, tell you what. Let's not do that. Okay, here we go. So, hi, Poker Night Live. Actually, do you know what? I am doing too many things at once because that's an email I've already addressed. But I'd be interested to know what you think about it, Mark. Now, let's jump back into our multi-table tournament. I'll bring Mark up to speed with the emails, and then I'll be playing my game at the same time. God bless you all. Now, we had a question from a viewer asking, is there ever a time when low hands like 5-6 or 2-4 are in a favourable position?
You mean they're not favourite?
Well, I know the sort of hands you play, so I thought maybe you have a different spin on this.
Yeah, well, certainly I'm the one to ask, I think, out of probably
so
the majority of commentators.
Can you think of a time when low hands like 5-6 or 2-4 might be a favourite? What position, what situation might you expect that they would be hands you could do something with?
Well, they might be useful if you're short-stacked, you've got something like 5-6. If you're short-stacked and 2 or 3 people behind you are going to war. You're obviously praying that they've got all sort of picture cards and a variety of ace-kings and ace-queens and stuff like that. So that might be a time where you could perhaps quadruple up, and you'd actually be surprised if that was the case and they have got a multitude of ace-kings, ace-queens. You wouldn't be that far off being a 25% favourite, with 3 other people. So.
Well, I was making the point that a lot of people, when they're short stacked, they're kind of waiting for an ace or waiting for a king and then just going all in. But of course, anybody that's likely to call you is likely to have one of those high cards, and you've just suddenly gone into a heads-up situation where one of your cards is automatically dead.
Yeah, I think it's really about the fact that these kind of small cards, these sort of suited connectors, are usually pretty good when you can put your opponent on a specific hand. And the reason being is that if you can put your opponent on a specific, either a big hand or an ace-king or something like that, then you know pretty much where you are all the time. And if all you need to do is just hit one of your cards, and as long as there's not an ace or a king out there, then you know pretty much it's good. I mean, I was playing at the Vic in the 750 the other day, and I called a raise with, funny enough, 8-5 suited. And I put the guy on the. I didn't think it was like ace-queen or ace-jack. It was more than likely a big pair of some description. And lo and behold, I hit 2 pair. And yeah, sure enough, he had a pair of queens. So, I took him out. So that's when it's useful.
Yeah.
You get great implied odds,
yeah.
For when you do hit. So that's a good thing about it. But you do have to put your opponent on a particular hand. Otherwise, it's very difficult to play sometimes.
Absolutely. Well, we started off tonight's MTT was 120 players. The last time we checked in it, we were down to 97. $38 left. We've just jumped over there. Our chip leader. Quite a few names we've already seen tonight. We've been bouncing in and out this all night long. Blinds at 150-300, so a sizable jump since we last took a look.
Yeah, blinds are fairly getting a bit on the expensive side now. You really want to be having, if you've got anything around the 6,000 plus mark, then you're feeling okay-ish. Really, if you've got something around the 7,500 mark, then you're feeling pretty reasonably comfortable at this stage, and that's really where you want to be. You want to be around the 7,000 mark, 7,500. Unfortunately, they're all sort of quite below that, apart from Mopper. So he's the one that's sitting pretty at the moment. In fact, he's our chip leader at the moment, and we can see what a chip leader he is. He's actually way out there. He's actually got 40 times the big blind, which is in a pretty good position to be in at this stage.
Yeah, there's nothing too unpleasant about being that stage of this far down the tournament.
Yep, so he's feeling pretty happy with himself, no doubt.
But you've got a fair while to go before the money comes back. Having spent $10 just to sit here, you really want to at least kind of get in the top three, because you've not got much of a payout. You kind of third place is 150, which is not to be sniffed at. But really, even coming in the money down in 10th, you get $18 for your time and trouble.
Yeah, it is a bit of a grind, isn't it, when you only scrape into the money, the 10th or 9th place.
Yeah, and people get a bit obsessed with this whole sitting on the bubble. I've made reference to you just before you turned up, to somebody talking about throwing away aces because some guys who were all in were about to battle it out. And I remember something that you said to me when I think I asked you a long while about throwing away big hands to make a position, and you were saying, well, you've got to be playing a tournament to come first. You don't want to just go up a position or get the money, and throwing away a pair of aces he was short stacked and somebody put him all in before the flop, and it's like, well, let's be honest, if you don't like that with aces, just because he was saying, well, I knew that one of these two guys is about to get knocked out.
Yeah. There's no reason to do that.
No.
The only time you would want to do that when that prize is substantial. Then that might make a difference. The prize substantial, or you're playing a satellite where you've got enough chips and you really don't need to start getting outdrawn or anything, because you've got enough chips and you're battling out with someone who can do you a lot of damage. So when it comes to that situation, then no. But really, I can't see why you'd ever throw down aces pre-flop.
No.
It's someone asked me once, well, what about when you had 3 or 4 people continuously going all in against each other? Well, that might be a time to do it. That might be a time to do it under certain circumstances, because at the end of the day, if you're up against 4 hands or more, then you're not going to be too favoured, especially if they're all sort of going all in against each other. It tends to mean that one of them has probably got aces as well, so you're drawing thin. But yeah, there's the situations that you do that are few and far between, very few and far between. I've never done it, and I've thrown away kings once pre-flop, but not because I was worried about someone having aces, but because it was a satellite. I had plenty of chips, and I really didn't need to get involved, so I just threw it away, and I knew I was going to coast through into the satellite place. There's no point.
Okay, well, I think we're going to take another email.
Okay.
Hi, Matt. This is from Marvin. Enjoying the show as usual. Sorry, it's just my turn to act. Just going to fold that hand. Back on the email. I'm considering trying to multi-table my games, as I'm finding I lose interest waiting for for other players to make their moves. What are your thoughts on multi-tabling? Also, how many tables do experienced multi-tables play? Are you a multi-tabler?
Yeah, I'm not a big multi-tabler, but I do multi-table. I'll play generally a maximum of 3 at any one time. I won't go to 4. I've tried 4 and it's just a bit too much for me. I don't think I can make good decisions on 4, whereas I think I can make reasonably good decisions on 3, and I can certainly make practically optimum decisions on 2. So, and that's really what it's all about. It's whether you feel that you can make the right decisions on 3 or 4. Now, some people are quite happy doing it on 4. It really depends on also your style of game. If you've got a very loose sort of style of game, then all it matters is you know, how many tables can you cope with when you're playing a lot of hands? That's going to be very hard. However, if you've got a very tight sort of game, then it's much easier to play 3 or 4. Why? Because you're not playing that many hands, so the chance of it crossing over is going to be pretty slim. So I tend to play 2 or 3 at any one time, and you're right, I think it is important, because otherwise, even on internet poker, as many hands as you do get, you know, it is quite a boring sort of form of poker, because, you know, you haven't got much interaction. So you do have to keep yourself occupied. So yeah, that's not a bad idea.
I think that's the thing, is that a lot of players, I mean, actually I was listening to an interview with Mike the Mouth Matasau the other day, and he was saying the only problem with multi-tabling with a large number of tables is that you're effectively playing cards. You're not playing poker, because poker is about situations, making moves against players, moving your chips. If you're multi-tabling 4 tables, you're pretty much just waiting for a hand to come up, and that's not really poker. Poker is like, you can't rely on getting hands. That's a very shallow method of playing. But I think every individual has to find a balance between what is still getting the best out of them, because similarly, players getting bored will start playing junk hands. So to have a couple going, but I mean, I've interviewed a number of different professionals that play online all the time, and some of them just play one. They play one and they watch TV. Some have a couple of monitors. I mean, I saw some guys out in Deauville playing 10 tables on a table, all that, you know, the miniaturized. And they're just playing for aces and kings. And it's like, well, you're just a grinding money machine, and that's fine. But that's not what I play poker for. So I think it's very much down to your individual tastes and what sort of game you're looking for. But interesting point.
Yeah, pretty much. It's a good point. And that's the thing, you know, at the end of the day, I would suggest is this. You'll find it difficult at first. I certainly did. I think most people do. So what I would suggest is play one, and then once you're confident with the one, and obviously move onto onto your second table. If you feel that you're not making the right decisions because it is too frantic, then take a break from it. And you know, you can actually find that you can wean yourself onto it. So take a break from playing 2, go back to 1. And then the following day, perhaps dip in for 2 again for an hour, and then you know, if it starts getting too frantic, then dip out again. And then you'll be surprised that after a while you get used to it, and then you can quite comfortably do 2. And then you can just do the same with 3. You know, just dip in and out, wean yourself onto it, and then you'll find that controlling 3 is really not that hard, unless you're playing a very, very loose game. I can do 3, and I play a semi-loose game, I'd say. So you know, that's probably my max though.
Okay, well, thanks again for your email. We're going to jump back down now into a game. We're going to go and see a cash game, a 25-50 cents game.
So how's it going over there, Matt? You okay?
Well, it's going all right. I finally kind of tuned in. To be really honest, I kind of apologised to... I got Riverdaz, Jamati, Shelby Terminate, QP Boy, PUFC Boy, who actually I think we got wrong. I think Kara's best guess at what PUFC Boy was something like... It was something like Portsmouth Union Football Club. Or she made this wild guess, but it was Peterborough United, but it was Portsmouth Union Football Club or something was her best guess. So hello to you, PUFC, and old F Bandit up the top there. So apologies to the guys. I've probably not given them much of a game right now. But I'm tuned in now. I've just managed to get myself back over $1,000, so I feel like I'm starting now, having not done too badly. But I had a couple of decent bluffs, a couple of reasonable hands. But for somebody half concentrating, I think I'm doing all right.
Excellent stuff.
But actually, I've just realised I'm only in 3rd position on the chips, so that's all right. We've got.
What are the blinds at the moment?
81.60.
Oh, so getting a bit expensive.
Yes, exactly. So I've probably tuned in at just the right time.
Excellent stuff. Okay,
anyway.
well, you get on with that. And
yes.
I'll look after. I'll look after these cash game boys.
Oh, that'll be marvellous. Thank you, sir.
Shaky Shark not wanting to play is 5-4, and I don't blame him. He's been fairly early position now. I wouldn't be too keen on playing that as much as I like suited connectors. Sometimes I might do, depending. If I feel that the table is really pretty passive, then I might limp in with it. I might even raise with it sometimes, depending on how passive the table is and whether I feel I can get away with it. And if I can add some deception into the hand, then that's great too. Well, Gulo has hit his cards. Only bet a little amount there. There was no real draws there, so I suppose you can get away with doing that, as long as you realise that it's okay to do that when there are absolutely no draws on. And there's a rainbow flop, paired board. Good chance your 6 is going to be in a lead in that situation.
Yeah, we were watching this table a bit earlier on. Running Lee was about 120, so he's He's made a move up. Most of
Yeah.
these other guys seem pretty much where they were placed before.
And if you're just tuned in and wondering what we're seeing here, we're watching a cash game, and it's a cash game played on the internet from people from all around the world. This is what we call a 25-cent, 50-cent cash game. Maximum buy-in is $50. Minimum buy-in is $5. You can sit down with anything in between. Of course, all you need to sit down is one of those amounts and an empty seat. At the moment, as you can see, all 8 seats are occupied, so no spare seats. And Running Lee is currently our chip leader. He's got $139, which is a pretty good step. If you can actually make a buy-in or more on any table, then you're doing pretty well. And he's actually almost made 2 buy-ins there, so he's doing very well indeed. Got another person who's not that far behind, Shaky Shark. He's on there, you can see on the leaderboard. He's got $104, and he's got himself a buy-in too. So those 2 guys are really, storming ahead, and quite a lot of money on this table. So not too many people actually below the 50 mark. So this is actually getting an interesting game as they accumulate chips and knock 1 or 2 people out, and we get a couple of replacements. So should be good fun to watch.
Well, I've just been asked if I can give a quick shout out to Jamatti's kids, James and Matty. Now we know where his name comes from.
Is that what he's teaching them? Is he teaching them how to play poker?
Well, if they're still up on a Thursday night at 11:32, I'm hoping you're taping it. Although, let's be honest, the thought of anyone taping Poker Night Live, that's a lot of tape. That's a lot of poker hands going past there. Very nearly accidentally commented on the hand I've been just watching on the wrong screen. It's not good for the brain. I'll be having a very long line tomorrow.
Well, of course, you don't need to tape nowadays, because if you've missed this edition of Poker Night Live, you can watch it tomorrow and later in this morning if I think it's replayed as well.
Yeah.
Lots of opportunities to watch it.
Watched it online the other day while I was busy playing. Opened a little window off the website, a little link off our website where you can watch the programme in a tiny little media window. It was very nice.
Who was on?
I think it was you, actually. You and Johan, I think.
Oh, I'm not surprised that you tuned in then.
Well, it was a cracker. All sorts of joshing, and I think you arm wrestled at one point. I could be wrong. Maybe that was a different programme I was watching.
I think it must have been, yeah.
With cowboys and bears and all sorts of things. No, that definitely wasn't you and Johan.
So this is an interesting flop. We've got a flush draw with an inside straight draw for Running Lee, and we've got a middle pair and up and down straight draw for Gazalui. So Running Lee, how much does he fancy? Now I dare say, he's hit a pair now as well. I dare say, had he have had the upper end of that straight draw, he might have actually decided to raise, but he's got the bottom end, so it's not a great straight draw, and it's not a particularly strong flush draw either, but it is a flush draw nonetheless. And we can see Gazalui now storms into the lead. He's got the straight, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And it's a 1-card straight, so Running Lee will only think, if he's just got an 8, he's got it. Now, Gazalui, how's he feeling about this? And if he thinks about it, he's thinking, well, what is this guy hanging around for? Doesn't he know I've possibly got a 1-card straight? What can he put him on?
Yeah, you've got to wonder what... Just waiting for a club to come down. Maybe he saw the straight and just thought, well, if I just got lucky enough to make the flush, there's so much money in this pot. You can see, Snap It there. We came to this, the percentage of played hand before, and we saw that Snap It was being the tightest at the table, and he remains so. Gaz is getting a bit more stuck in. Good luck to you. But again, you've got to watch out for those statistics. With a cash game, you need such a huge collection of stats for any of them to really be something you want to spend too much time picking apart. People get a bit hooked up in their statistics. Am I too loose? Am I too...
Yeah, that's very, very true. You can sometimes, you've got to remember that poker is, whilst there is a technical game to it, and Hold'em, there is a technical aspect to it, you've got to remember that it is a game of feel too. You know, it's unlike Omaha, it's unlike Limit Hold'em, where they're more technical type of games. There is an element of feel to the game as well, much larger in Hold'em. So you do have to get those juices flowing.
Absolutely.
That's the hand I had that Snap It's got. 8-5 suited when I took out those pair of queens the other day. 8-5 of hearts, in fact. Same suit.
Nice. Happy memories, flooding back, nostalgia.
Those hearts always seem to do well for me. What's the other ones of those?
Oh, well, that's not too shabby a drop in. Seat 2 has his 2 pair.
Yeah, how's he going to play it though? There's a possible flush draw out there, possible bad straight draw for someone. He's decided to come out betting, so he's trying to use the deception of betting as a deceptive move. Will not bet with a strong hand. But Shaky Shark's thinking, well, has he really got an ace there? Well, good fold by Shaky Shark. He didn't have much, so decided to let it go. We had no redraw on there, not even a bad one. So.
Yeah, and the point you make is a lot of people think if you hit, to hit a big pair, one thing, when you kind of flop 2 pair, everyone thinks, oh, I've got to disguise this. And the truth is you do need to mix your game up. Because if you always slow play stuff, people will smell something fishy. And if you do come in betting, you need to mix it up so that people find it very hard to put you on a hand, especially in a cash game. You might be playing with these guys for a fairly long period of time. And you don't want them to start nailing you and putting little logos by you that says when this guy bets fold.
No, absolutely. That wouldn't be too good, would it? But having said that, the amount of people that still will pay you off. I remember Donico O'Day is a fairly big cash game player.
Yeah.
And people keep on saying he's a really tight player, very tighty sort of player. And people keep saying, I just don't understand how people keep paying him off. And it's it just shows you that people even at the higher levels still will be prepared to ignore that you're a tight player and still think, oh, it's possible that he's making a move this time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course, I'm not saying he never makes moves, but it's less likely than some of the other creative players. So
and of course people in cash games do tend to be a bit more likely to chase things to the death because they know that it's not like an exit from a tournament, and if they believe there's value to be had, they'll chase and chase and chase, and if they lose, at least they're not putting their hat and coat on. But there is a time when you do realise that the best skill you can develop is letting go of hands.
Yeah, it is important, definitely important. Some of the usual faces I see on your table, Matt.
Yeah.
Some of the regulars.
Yeah. May appear.
Hello, boys. Hope you're behaving yourselves, not trying to bully Matt or anything.
To be honest, bullying would involve me kind of watching, which I'm still very guilty of not really doing. So I really hope that when I look over, I see some big hand. Well, I'm about to get stung with a big blind. So prepare thyself, lads. It's going to be a big one.
Well, we've got a raise from Gazalui with the pair of queens.
Yeah.
Sorry, Inf 1 with the raise. Gazalui just calling with a pair of queens, so he's disguising it. And he won't be too thrilled about seeing a king on that flop, but I dare say he'll... oh, he hasn't, he's just checked it. Well, that is surprising. I would have thought that he would have to put some kind of feeler bet, because Inf 1 can actually do this, or Runningly, can actually do this with absolutely anything now. They don't have to have a king. And now Gazalui is none the wiser, unless he's going for a very creative check raise. Let's see. No, he throws it away. Oh, dear.
Wow.
Well, not the way to play queens. Unfortunately, you can't assume that everyone's got an ace or everyone's got a king in those situations. They will have it some of the times, but you've got to throw some kind of question out there. Game's about betting, about raising questions, asking questions of your opponents. Sometimes they'll answer yes, sometimes they'll say no.
Sometimes they might say, who are you and what do you want? I've just seen Mark's cheating. He's watching my game on the other table. It's outrageous. I'm being spied on.
Well, I can't see your cards though.
That's true.
So we can see how tight these players are. Golf Mad Chef, who's only been on here for a short while, but he's folded quite a lot of the time, as we can see. 20% he's been playing. And right down the bottom, we've got Runningly, who's, running. He's played 41% of the hands. And a little bit higher than what I would play normally, but I'd usually hover around the 30-35% mark. He's 41%, so stats are very difficult to to find out exactly how tight or someone is playing, because they're only over a short number. And hi to you as well, PUFC boy. I see you're up there again.
Yeah.
Maybe not for much longer though, let's see.
No, I fear I'm going into this. Well, actually, what can I was just about to tell everyone what I got. They're still making their decision. No, do you know, I was just about to say, I think I'm going into this with the worst of it. I think there's a pair out there. I think I could be proved uber right well. I've not done us proud. But I have all sorts of excuses. Cheers, chaps.
Matt, 7th, 6th, 5,
Tell everyone
4,
it was going to be a
3rd.
surprise. Yeah, apologies, gents. I'll be back. I'll be back. Get to the chopper. You're getting lots of hellos, by the way, Mark. Everyone loves you. Everyone loves you. Apparently I lasted longer than some. Got a horrible feeling they're referring to people that had never played poker before.
No,
and this is
they're actually referring to me.
Oh really? Yeah. And this is my first attempt at Beat the Presenter, and I really feel like I've well, no one's going to believe that I play poker now.
So you've been playing at the Vic at all?
No, do you know what? I was invited down tonight with a couple of I think Julian Garner and David Pomeroy and a few guys were going down tonight, and of course then
the main event tonight.
Yeah. And then didn't get down. But I'm playing in a heat for the British Open tomorrow, so down at the Riverside Studios with Devilfish and Coleclaw and a few of those guys.
All right.
So there's so I'm hoping.
It's an expensive tournament, that one, isn't it? It's about 3,000, isn't it? 3,000.
Yeah.
3,000 entry.
Yeah, it ain't cheap.
Ah.
Not cheap as chips, but yeah,
Well,
no.
I'll
It's
have to
good.
speak to our producers. I think you must be earning a few quid more than me.
Oh, it's all the other things I do. I'm celebrating. I just finished my first book, so I'm stretching my legs. Get out there and play a bit of poker. I've been hiding behind my PC for the last 8 weeks.
Oh, okay. Is that all it took you? 8 weeks to write a book? You're pretty talented. So Louis moves up. So I take it your book's poker related?
It is, yes. It's I actually just as I say, just finished it on Friday morning. It's how to win at poker. Funnily enough, it's mostly a beginner's book, but it's kind of meant to be a bit more realistic because, you know, we get asked, and in fact, I think there's an email waiting to be addressed talking about which books are good. But the problem is, even though we always talk about things like, you know, Super System and yada yada, is that I think for the majority, and I think, you know, a lot of the Poker Night Live viewers fall into this category, it's very recreational players who, you know, when you're reading a book, it says, imagine you're in a $10, $20 limit game. That's not the sort of games that our guys are playing. And also lots of them tend to be very statistics heavy. So this is very much meant to be more like okay, you're playing in the 25 cents, 50 cents game, or you're in a $10 tournament, and just trying to gear itself a bit more at the majority of people that are just coming to poker and the sort of games.
Yeah.
And also make it very much more kind of example-led. So lots of table illustrations, you know, just very, very friendly. But yeah, I wrote it with the guy who's the editor of Poker Player magazine.
All right, what's his
So
name?
Dave Woods. And
Dave Woods.
Yeah.
I know that name.
He's been involved with the guys here at Poker Zone. We've done sort of
Okay.
poker bowls and stuff with the poker
All
player
right,
guys.
okay.
So yeah, it's not likely to come out until a bit later on in the year. But really, just what I would have considered, you know, it's like the people I bump into, and of course everyone asks you lots of questions, and again, to be honest, some of my experiences of the sort of emails that we get on the show, just realising that a lot of the books just sort of jump in at a fairly advanced level,
Yeah.
or are perhaps not talking to people on the level that they're dealing with, so they have to translate down.
Yeah.
And sometimes if someone's been talking to you about a big, you know, 25 quid, 50 quid game, you bring that down to people that are playing in a $5 tournament, they're not going to run into the same sort of issues, the same sort of players.
Yeah. Yeah. So how long did it take you to put that together?
Well, to be honest with you, it's been an absolute bloody nightmare. It's been about, we signed our contract before Christmas and we finished, as I say, Friday. So it's been, to be honest...
That's fairly quick.
Well, actually, it's actually even quicker than that because we ignored it for Christmas.
Right.
So it's actually been best part of about 9 weeks, I think it was. So
Incredible. Incredible to put something together like that in 9 weeks.
Yeah, well, we kind of split up. You know, I have things I specialise in that, you know. So obviously, I know a lot about the history of poker. I did a chapter on 7-card stud and Omaha, which maybe people don't know so much about. dealing with internet poker and the nuances.
So it doesn't just cover Hold'em; it covers the others as well.
No. As I say, it's meant to be a real kind of like welcome to poker sort of book. So
right.
I'll keep everyone posted and plug the life out of it when it actually gets published. I think in August. So I'll let you know.
Yeah, cool.
But can I throw some emails your way, sir?
Yeah, fire away.
Okay, here we go. We got an email from Steve. Thanks for your email, Steve. Keep them coming, folks. Hi, I've got a question about online play. I usually play $5 or $10 single table tournaments, and I've seen that online players are willing to risk all their chips with something like Jack-Jack, Ace-Queen or Ace-King suited, even if the flop was extremely bad or missed their cards completely. Speaking of which, I've just seen 3 players go all in pre-flop on the first hand of a tournament, one with pocket eights, one with ace-queen suited, and one with king-queen. It's a joke! How would players like this affect your game, especially when you feel like low-skilled players like these are completely unbluffable and are willing to see cards down to the river on gut shot straight draws or 2-over cards? You're probably going to say tighten up, but when the blinds are making a dent in your stack or you aren't getting any cards to compete against them, what can you do? So I guess really we're talking about people that get what potentially are premium hands, but even if they don't hit, they never let go of them. You can't seem to push them off. So what does that do to your game? How do you change your approach?
Okay, well, I mean, he seems to be referring to a little later on in the tournament, so we're not talking about the early stages of the game. You know, the reality is that if you're getting people doing that, then and you know you don't have any cards for a lot of the time, then there's not a lot you can do. You know, it's as simple as that. You know, you're looking for a solution where one doesn't exist. What I will say though is that obviously the law of averages says that you will get some more cards than your opponents at some points, and you'll get the same cards as your opponents at some points. So it's really what you do with those that counts. And I would suggest really what you want to do is perhaps actually loosen up a touch at the beginning of the tournament. Play your position a little more and try and catch people out a little more. And that's usually when they're a little tighter. They're not so aggressive, shall I say, not tighter, but they're not so aggressive. So they're wanting to see flops as well. They're wanting to catch, you know, big hands. So you'll tend to find there's a little less raising going on sometimes. But at the end of the day, you know, there are a lot of passive tables out there. You know, you don't have to play on the most aggressive tables. If that conflicts with your style and you find it very hard to play against, one of the things we talk about on Poker Night Live is game selection. And, you know, there are hundreds and thousands of games to choose from. So, you know, if that one isn't suitable for you, don't play it. It's as simple as that. Yeah,
well, I guess it's very hard with the tournaments. It's very hard to know what your opponent's going to be until you're sitting down, and of course you're then locked in. But that might be where taking notes on players and building up a bit of a profile of the guys that you tend to sit down with. Maybe if you know there are guys who are just going to follow the cards till the death, avoid them. But it's very tough once you're locked into a game to.
Yeah. The other thing, of course, is what you can do is you can actually move up a level, play less but move up and play. You know, so if you're playing, I don't know, 5 or 6 $10 ones, then perhaps only play 3 $20 ones. You'll find that as the money goes up, people aren't so loose with their dollars. You know, they don't want to be knocked out in the first couple of hands with King Queen or some nonsense like that.
Yeah.
They want to give it a good shot. So perhaps something like that might be an idea.
Okay. We have another question here regarding the number of players that you have on tables. We've got here Harwick Balls, who came 3rd on the MTT on Tuesday night. Good on you. Talking about having the option to sit at tables with 6, 8, 10 players. Do you have a preference as to the number of players? He likes to play 10-handed because he feels that he gets to know people, and you know with that many players you're going to get a daft call if you go in. What's your preference? What's your favourite?
I keep changing. I used to like the big-handed games, the 8, 9, 10 games. Now I sort of more prefer the more short-handed games. If you asked me a few weeks ago, I'd say the 8-handed game, but I much prefer the short-handed games now. Do you ever tend to sit in the head-up games, one-on-ones? It depends on what site. I will sometimes, yeah. On certain sites I will. It depends. If I feel there's a reasonable amount of play, on the cash games or tournaments, you mean? On the tournaments. On the tournaments, yeah. If there is enough play and the blinds don't go up ridiculously quickly, then I don't mind playing those kind of heads-up tournaments because I actually enjoy them probably the most out of anything. Okay. I would say that it is important to, once again, to game selection. I won't play them if it goes too fast. Okay. All right, well, thanks very much for email, Dave. Keep those texts and emails coming in. We're going to go to a break, but we'll be coming back with more action after just this little while. Hello, welcome back to Poker Night Live. Myself and Mr. Mark Banin with you until 2 o'clock in the morning. We're going to quickly take some emails, but first of all, a reminder. Please do keep your emails and texts coming in.
Very, very pleased with you tonight. Thanks for keeping those coming in. More, please, more. The text you can get us on, 62211. More! 62211 for your texts. If you'd prefer, a clickety-click on the keyboard for the email, please. poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. Any questions for us? Any comments? Anything you'd like us to just talk about? And have your say. Hear yourself live. 0906 200 7080. Leave us a message at the tone. We're going to quickly take in a couple of emails, and then we're going to have a look at me juggling and beating the presenter. A very simple question for you, Mark.
Okay.
Hi guys, this is from Jason in somewhere that I can't pronounce. Hi guys, great show. Was just wondering, as I'm not sure, what would win in a showdown, a full house consisting of 10-10 4-4-4 against a full house of 9-9-9 4-4? This showdown puzzles me. It hasn't happened to me, but I'd like to know for the future.
Well, it's pretty straightforward. All you do is take the three of a kind. Whichever is the higher three of a kind takes precedence. So, for example, in that particular example, you had 3 4s, 4-4-4, 10-10. That's how you should have really said it, as opposed to the other way around. 4-4-4, 10-10 versus 9-9-9, 4-4. Obviously, 9-9-9, 4-4 is the bigger full house. So, 9-9-9 wins.
Fantastic. Nice simple one, but worth addressing. Thank you very much indeed there, Jason. It's one of those things that always confuses people. Another email here from Dan in Essex. Thanks again for your email. Have been playing Hold'em for quite a few months and am progressing. However, I sometimes seem to be at a loss in certain situations regarding strategy, i.e. positions, the blinds, slow play, etc. Could you recommend a poker book which may help me? So, any particular
for tournaments or cash games, as you refer to?
Well, he doesn't actually say specifically, but it looks like it's more the strategy side of it than some of the basic
probably.
stuff. Yeah, I would think so. Yeah.
I think that I always say that I, very much like Sklancy's book, Advanced Tournament Play. A tournament play for advanced players or something. Whilst you don't have to be an advanced player, you can pick up a lot, even for a fairly new player. And for the later on, what you probably need to do is really then just read it a couple more times just to get a bit more familiar with some of the more intricate things that he's explaining. But that's really an excellent book. I read that one pretty much from when I first started playing poker, and a lot of the things are still very, very relevant today, and there's still a lot of things you can put into practice. So that's definitely worth a look.
Yeah, if my tip, one that I read recently, Eric Lundgren, it's called something like Making the Final Table. And we tend to always talk about the same books here, but I mean the Sklansky stuff is fantastic, as is Harrington's books. But if you're specifically interested in tournament play, because we do watch so much tournament play and we get so many questions about how do I play early, I get to the middle, I haven't got enough chips. But this new one from Eric Lundgren, I don't know if you've seen it, but it's very good. It talks about aggression and how you go through the gears, and where you talk about position, it focuses a lot on about appreciating your position and what that does to the strength of your hands and how you should address it. But, I mean, there's no shortage of books out there, so let us know if you guys disagree, if you've picked up any that you particularly think are good. Let us know, we'll pass on the news to Dan in Essex. Meantime, we're going to go to a very impressive performance from a man clearly not paying attention as we look at my Beat the Presenter tournament right now. And they were very nice chaps, and I take my hat off to you. You can see my incredibly inventive name in the third seat if you hadn't twigged. And I think you could well find that we're going to focus on the other players for the first 10 minutes of this tournament, as I was busy doing other things. Basically, if it wasn't aces or kings, I wasn't interested.
Okay, well, we've got an interesting situation right from the off.
Yep.
We've got up and down straight draw for fast, and flush draw with a inside straight draw for... in fact, is it an inside straight draw? Yeah.
Yep.
It needs 10 and a 10 only.
Now, see, I can't even pretend that I really I had any vibes at this point, because I really wasn't able to say, oh, I remember this hand, I put him on a ace-10 offsuit, king-3. But the boys were pretty tight, to be honest. A few crazy moves early doors, but it got very tight very quickly.
Well, there you go. There's QP taking a big, big chance there with just the flush draw. So... that was quite creative there from QP, taking a bit of a risk.
Yep. Bandit. Just going to try and limp him with the 7, see if he can improve on that. That's not the worst flop in the world for Giamatti there, really, is it?
No, not too bad. It's not too bad a flop for Farce either. Generally speaking, we've got a paired board like that. You're not usually too worried, but he's got plenty to worry about because he's way behind.
Yeah, and Giamatti, as
He's
if
got
his
a
hand
flush draw
needed,
to boot.
yeah, as if it needed to improve. Why don't you have a flush draw just
Well,
in
it'll be
case?
interesting if the 7 of diamonds pops up, wouldn't it?
Yes.
That would be really interesting. So we'd have nut flush. Oh, nearly.
Ah!
Well,
Well,
nearly,
they
but
are.
he's still dangerous enough for him, isn't it? So we have a full house for Farce and a set of aces for Giamatti. Now, Farce is just wondering, what has he got? And
Well, I can't imagine Giamatti's going to let go of this, and the 7
he's not going to let go. It's just a
is-
case whether he raises. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. But obviously a bit cautious there and decided.
Yeah, he decided, and Farce probably could have got away with a lot more of that then. He
Yeah.
probably didn't realise how strong Giamatti was.
Yeah, that could have really damaged him.
And there was nothing really obvious for Giamatti to suggest that he was behind.
No.
And that's the thing about when you've got a pocket pair and it makes a set or a full house, it's very hidden.
Yeah. And
Very
you might
hard
want to take a
detect.
picture there. I think you just saw me win a hand. I think everyone folded to me in the big blind, but you might want to make a note of that. Jack, King.
So that's
suited.
one hand you've won.
This is one hand of one. Just trying to really,
So,
just scaring him off. I really don't want to play Jack, King suited, really, not when I'm not really watching the game. So I make it big enough that I think if he calls me, I know where I am, but don't really fancy taking that to the river.
Two hands.
Two hands I've won, and let's stop it there.
And yet, Dr. Tom always says he doesn't like playing the small blind and the big blind, and there you are,
Yeah,
winning
yeah.
from both.
So, you know, some people have strengths in different areas. Jack, Queen, been raised and called.
So getting some good value in there.
Yeah, well, that's what I thought. I actually think I chased this too far. And to be honest, actually, as soon as I called this, I just thought, you know what, I've got position, I'm on the button, but other than that, obviously now I hit a draw.
So you've got 2 overcards plus the inside straight draw.
Yeah.
Needing a 9 to make your straight. Of course, the only problem with your 2 overcards is that could make someone a straight too if you
Well,
hit.
exactly, and that's exactly what I was thinking here. Seven, eight.
Interesting PUFC boy having a go at it.
Yeah. Well,
I was just wondering whether you perhaps got something like Jack 10, I dare say.
I'll be honest. I mean, you know, it's easy to make it sound like you're psychic. I thought he had a piece of this, and that's why I kind of went in heavy-handed there at the end. Is that I thought he had a piece of it, but I didn't think he had the best of it.
Very good play there by Matt. Nice takeaway from PUFC boy.
Thank you very much. Again, you might want to take a picture of that.
So far you've won the last 3 hands, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, you won't win this one though.
No. No. Well, I thought, you know, it's only fair. Give the boys a chance, stretch the chips.
Yeah, and I think you probably sniffed that PFC boy showed weakness there, didn't he, on the river by not betting.
Well,
there.
that's why I guess that I say I must say I can't pretend I put him on a pocket pair, but I smelt a pair, but knowing that he wasn't acting as if he had the best pair. It was like he liked it, and then there were more and more options on the board that were slowing him down.
Yeah, and there's one. I think there was a 1-card straight out there, wasn't there?
Yeah. So I thought, you know what, I'm certainly not going to win this by checking, and I need to make the bet big enough.
Yeah.
And I was kind of relying a bit on the fact that people know it's going to be televised, and they don't want to be the first out. So I thought, if anything, I can probably abuse my position here a bit. Sorry about that.
So, how do you feel about being abused, PUFC boy, by Matt Broughtton?
Up the posh, he asked me to say. Good on you. So, no, they're a very friendly bunch.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, that's right. See, and the best thing for me is I had typed in this point, you know. Well, actually, I think we were commenting on the game at the time. Some 8s had come down. I said 8s, favourite hand of mine, and this bloke was typing in something about, you like 8s, do you? So, quad 8s for River. Daz?
Yeah, he's praying that terminates, in fact, with the 8 there. He's praying that he's got a flush or a straight or something like that.
Yeah.
But he hasn't. He's got a draw that's missed, unfortunately for him. Well, fortunately for him, should I say.
And it's a great example of whenever we get, you know, asked the constant question, what are good hands? And it's like, well, it's not so much the hands, it's the situation. Here he has an amazing hand, but is in a situation where he's heads up with someone who has nothing. So how great is quad 8s at that point? Well, it's good enough to win him the pot, but he's not going to take home a huge stack, is he?
Yeah. One thing he does know for sure, which is why people like it, of course, is they know they're not going to lose.
Well, that's true.
Yeah,
I'm not dissing quads, believe you me. If I see them any time in the next year, I should be more than happy.
So the nuts wins. That was the best possible hand out there. No straight flush, of course, is the hand that beats it, or royal flush. And they weren't possible. So quad eights was the best hand.
Indeed, and don't forget, guys, we always extend the invitation. If there's any other play here you want to, have a conversation about, tell us what you were thinking. Do get in touch with us, 62211 on the text, or poker@pokernightlive.co.uk for your email. So let us know what you were thinking. If there's any moves you made you want to justify, or any amazing psychic visions you had. Here we see your power eights.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Terminator doesn't bet here. It's a pretty good flop for a pair of threes, 997. You've got to think that a pocket pair is going to be winning in that situation, especially if the guy hasn't bet.
Yeah, he's got the position, and it's...
The only one card he's got to really worry about is the 9. If Fast Bandit, he would have bet with a 7 come on the flop, had he had a 7. He might not have bet a 9, so that's really the only thing he's got to worry about. And you can put a bet out there and see if he can take it down or whether he gets called. If he gets called, then he can slow right down.
Yeah, and I'm just being weak here, just limping in, seeing if I get somewhere.
Yeah, well, I think that's an okay play from that situation.
I feel, if you're
going to play,
I don't know what position. Yeah, I don't know what position I'm getting in. It gets checked round to me. It's pretty easy to stick in some chips here and just.
Yeah, well, you had the top pair and only a 6 or 3 there, so unlikely anyone had 2 pair or anything like that. So it was looking.
So some big hands out here. Take it from 20 to 120, just again to make sure if anyone calls me, I know that I'm not dealing with rubbish. It's probably a bit overly aggressive in such a late position, and then I get that, which I must say I don't think I chase this. I think I put him on an ace king or an ace queen.
Yeah, I think you call here, don't you?
I don't know. Do you know? I can't remember. Is the honest truth. I was a bit split.
I'm pretty sure I remember you calling.
Okay.
Although you were commentating at the time, so.
I really don't remember, to be honest with you. Okay.
Yeah, and it gets check.
See,
he shows ace, he flashes ace queen. That's right.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, but you were commentating at the time.
Yeah. See, the thing is, actually, I probably normally would have thrown that way. I'm out of position, and that's what made me hope that I was going to fold it, because that's what I would have done now.
Yeah, well, you do.
Regardless
he bets his ace flush draw,
right?
And he folded. Yeah. He's got an inside straight draw as well, I think. Has he? 9, 10. No, yes. Just the ace.
No, just the ace. But yeah, I mean, I'm sitting there praying for a jack, which is not a position I want to be in, so I let it go. But I'm surprised I chased it down. King queen is not a hand I really enjoy much. No. It's certainly not in early position. Had I been able to make a move.
Yeah, so that was a little bit of a play. I don't think you probably would have made had you been concentrating on that.
No, and as I say, I can't really remember that I called it, and I'm surprised that I did, because sitting here looking at it,
I was surprised watching you that you called it.
Yeah.
When I was here,
is the fact that I can see his ace queen actually doesn't change anything, because the fact that I'd made it such a big raise and that he came over the top, it tells me ace king, ace queen, or something big. He's not going to muck around.
That's a very interesting point you bring up, Matt, isn't it? Because it is about asking those kind of questions. And you've said at the beginning, when you raised that amount, you made it a big bet, so that if anyone calls you, you know where you stand. And that's a very important thing to do in poker, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think
a lot of people don't.
Absolutely. I've literally had a conversation this afternoon with somebody, and we were talking about betting, and he kind of drew out this conversation with me. And at no point did he ever say, I wanted to find out what he had, I wanted to ask. It was just like, I wanted more money in the pot, and I made this sort of bet. And you're thinking, well, that's the whole point, is you're missing the point of betting. Betting is to build the amount, but it's also to find out where you are and to let that guide, because that's a perfect situation there. If I make that but if the guy calls, I'm going to put him on a strong drawing hand, because if he thinks he can beat me, he's going to play back at me, because he's either going to try and bluff me if he doesn't believe me, which we know from watching this. Very few people do that. Most people, when they come at you, it's because they've got a hand. And
that was quite a weak hand to do it with, really.
Yeah.
To come over the top with just ace queen like that.
But it's trying to say, and that's why I'm sort of disappointed that I called in that instance, because
I think you were probably just distracted.
9 out of 10 times.
We'll say you were just distracted.
You tell me that. Well, I can blame all of it on being distracted. But no, as I say, I'm genuinely watching myself, surprised to see me call that, because king queen is a hand that really hurts me a lot often. And there, I'm almost surprised that I didn't just try and limp in, because then if I limp in and I get a re-raise, it just tells me what I know about King Queen, which is it's a dangerous hand to get to attach to.
Yeah.
I think maybe because previously I think I had an Ace Jack and I made a big move and it was successful. King Queen's not something I really want to take to a flop. And as I say, I'm surprised I called it re-raise. But there you go. Good to see. Interesting to watch.
There was a situation that I played a couple of years ago now, when I was playing at, I think it was at the Vic. I'm pretty sure it was at the Vic. Or was it at Luton? Anyway, I'm pretty sure it was at the Vic. And someone had made an early position raise, and I got pocket queens. I come over the top with a fairly substantial re-raise, and someone else re-raises me again. You know, so the fact that I've made it such a big re-raise was automatic. That's not anything but aces or kings. It's got to be.
Yep.
So, you know, I've tossed my hand away and I showed my queens and he showed his aces. But the point is that it was the fact that I made such a big re-raise, I was convinced it had to be aces.
Yeah.
There was no doubt in my mind that it's the only hand he could do that with, because my bet was so big. Had I made a weaker bet, I might have thought he's trying to bully me perhaps, or he sees me as weak, you know, all these other ideas come into your mind.
Yeah.
And you just don't find out where you are. So that's the, oh look, we could have curtains here. We've got two flush draws out there. King high against ace high.
See, I know how this finishes.
And we can see now how it finishes.
Yeah.
Where we see determined eights have a little go at it to try and represent something else. But, you know, he could well be winning here, so...
yeah.
Yeah, I don't. He shouldn't be betting in this situation. I don't know what he does, but he shouldn't be betting because his king high might just well be good enough in this situation.
Well,
he's only going to get called by someone who's better.
Yeah.
So there's no point betting 40.
Yeah, exactly.
If ace isn't going to throw it away.
Exactly. And if he's feeling to bet there, he can't be betting to think he's winning. He's got to be betting to try and find out. And 40 just isn't a good enough amount to,
it does
make
nothing.
that move with.
It's all that he's really done is added a value bet into a losing situation, which doesn't make sense. You know, a value bet is put in there when you believe that you've got the better hand.
Yeah.
There's no way you could really comfortably think he's got the better hand. And once it's checked to you, you just check. And if your king high happens to be the best hand, great.
Yeah.
Someone with an ace won't throw it away. Not on the paired board like that. On the board that looks very, very unharmful. So not much point in that bet, I don't think. Little slip up, we all make them.
Ace king, nice, suited for a bandit. I think I try and limp again here, just in case.
Interesting limp from you.
Yeah, I just don't like how early I am in the action, and it's not late enough in the tournament to start going crazy because it's 8-2.
No. The reason I say that is I probably would have thrown it away in that early position.
Yeah, I think the thing is I'd spent so much time just clicking the fold button and sort of, I thought, well, do you know what? It's funny because I'd actually told somebody off earlier on in the evening for limping in with the likes of ace-3 or ace-4 just because they're suited. Thinking, well, it's a rubbish hand, but if the flop comes down, if the flush comes down, I'm on for the nuts. And I think I said at the time, if you feel early in a tournament, you want to have these speculative limp-ins. That's fine. It's not going to kill your chips, and you could perhaps make some implied odds. But you can only do that if you're prepared to let it down as soon as you get any resistance.
Yeah, the problem is with a hand like that is, one, there's a good chance that there's so many people behind you that one of them could raise and price you into a pot now if he gets one or two callers.
Yeah.
The second problem is if an ace hits, you could be in a lot of trouble because it's...
Well, I pride myself that I'm not interested in the ace. That's the whole point, is I think I'm playing that either...
But what happens if it comes something like, just to give you a bit more interest, something like ace-3-4?
Well, then that's certainly, obviously, I've got more outs to get involved in there. But what I'm saying is I think if I'm playing an ace-2, I'm not interested in hitting an ace.
Yeah.
I'm interested in flush possibilities or just positional opportunities where if a kind of a random flop comes down and I sense weakness from somebody else, I might make a move just on position. And the fact that I did limp in, which, it can send out different messages to people. I mean, I'm trying to justify what is basically me limping in just out of interest to see. But the truth is, I think if an ace comes down, I'm not going to play it as if I made a pair of aces because it's just too weak.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a good attitude to have because, and this is something really a lot of people should take on board. If you are, remember, prior to the hand, when you've got your hand and you decide to limp in or do whatever you want with it, if you can decide what you're looking for before the actual flop comes down, then that helps not get you into so much trouble. So, for example, you've got an ace-2 like Matt's had. He said he's looking for the flush draw or he's looking for a flush. And if the ace hits, then he's playing it very, very carefully. He's not that interested in the ace coming down.
I'm almost more interested in making a 2, you know, hitting a 2 so that I've then got a pair with a strong kicker that, you know what I mean? It's almost like to hit the aces of no value to me.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, if a mystery hand like, you know, I don't know, if a couple of 2s come down, or if, as you say, the straight with a piece of the action. Again, it really depends on what betting I then see come at me. But I say, mostly it's part of what I like to do at the beginning. I think that move with the ace-2, it took me from 860 down to 840.
Yeah.
Fine. I'm not going to do that later in the tournament when we're at, you know, 160, 320, but I'll have a little push here and there. Just because that's the way I seem to be playing recently, and that just in the first few levels of a tournament, whereas when I first started playing in tournaments, I was very much more tight. And then I realised I ended up like lots of our viewers that say, I can survive, but when I get to the middle stage of a tournament, I've hardly got any chips. Yeah. And I end up going, hooray, I've got to level 4, but I'm just looking to go all in.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the whole point, is that I would rather make a few moves and risk some chips early to stand the chance of accumulating more than just premium hand results. And yeah, here I am again. Look at me limping.
Well, I don't mind that. In that position, I don't mind. One, it's a 6-7, not an ace, which I prefer in that situation.
Exactly.
And plus, you're in the cutoff.
In the cutoff, yeah. And again, the position's what, you know, I think if I'm early to act, then no, of course not. Yeah. But there again, I try and limp in, somebody makes a move, I just go away.
Yeah, the only problem with that is the fact that it's now more than 10% of your stack.
Absolutely.
That is the
which I absolutely realised as I did it, but
yeah. So that's the only discrepancy, I think, on that situation. But it's very hard, isn't it? With tournaments, that's the interesting thing about tournaments, isn't it, Matt? Whereas, unlike cash games, the situations are continuously changing, and you've got to adapt to different situations. Or in a cash game, it's pretty standard. You're going to be on the blind once around, you're going to be on the big blind. The chip stacks doesn't really matter if someone's got a big stack or a little stack. It does to a certain degree, but not as much as it does in a tournament. And you haven't got to accumulate chips.
Absolutely.
Because there's no rush.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no pressure, there's no curtain descending on you that's going to push you ahead.
So what do you prefer playing? Tournaments or cash games? Or sit and goes?
It's kind of changing. Overall, I'm much more of a sit and go. Actually, I'm saying this in light of the game we're watching. Please do ignore what you're seeing on your screens. No, most of my success comes through sit and goes. But actually, in recent times, I've changed over, and because I was frustrated that I never really have very much time. When I'm playing, I tend to be doing lots of things at once. Again, no real surprise there. But so multi-table tournaments, I generally don't have that time aside. Live games, when I go and play out in some of the clubs that I go to, or with the social friends, or some of the kind of the forum groups I go and play regularly with, that's great because that time is put aside. Whereas a lot of the poker I play tends to be I'm sitting at my PC doing something else, and I'm thinking, well, I've got 2 monitors, I just chuck a little game up here. So sit and goes are perfect for me. Whereas recently I've been getting involved in lots of multi-table tournaments, lots of Omaha tournaments. And I've found that generally, I mean, I played a tournament that was ridiculous the other day. There was 6,200 and something in it, and I got down into 62nd position or something. And I'm really just working on my multi-table kind of technique at the moment.
And that was Omaha, was it?
That was actually Omaha. Right. But I've been doing a similar exercise, just kind of picking tournaments with a couple of thousand in it.
What was that, a free roll one?
Yeah, that was one of the free rolls.
It has to be for 6,000 plus.
Absolutely, yeah. No, but the thing
the only thing that gets me about those free rolls, you get sort of into, like you say, 62nd, and you get like 22 cents or something.
Well, it's almost like I kind of not so worried about the money. It's just a technique, and that's why a lot of people that talk about the play games or the free rolls.
So using it for like practicing. In effect.
Absolutely. And again, because I know that I'm sort of not really concentrating, I never like to invest too much money if I know that I'm not really playing this game. I'm just sort of having a plosh.
Yeah, and that's wise.
You know, but that's the thing, is it gives you the hello. I don't know what I do here. I might just give this up. You know. Not being a fan of ace-jack.
So a button raise. Really?
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Probably just being too cautious. But I just.
You would have won a lot anyway. You'd only won your blind.
But that's right. I've only got one guy I'm against, so I'm.
You get your blind back and split. You get an extra 20, so you lose. He's getting an extra 100 basically.
Yeah. It's.
Now puts you on 680.
Ace-jack is not the hand I want to do with. I'm more than happy to see somebody raise at me with suited ace-queen, so I'm all in. Now I can see that Shelby's got 2 of my clubs, so I can't get too excited about what the clubs mean to me. It's enough to posh that it's going to hurt his chips.
Yeah, well, this is his tournament life here, really, regardless of how many he's got. It's another, what, 480 to him, by the looks of it, is it? No, 380.
380.
So he's got another, he'll have 390 left.
Him, yeah.
He'll leave him 390, but he'll be in desperate situation.
He gives it up.
Yeah, and that's the problem, isn't it? He could be dominated.
Absolutely, yeah. But he gets rewarded for his nice disciplined fold with a pocket tens.
Yeah, now the only thing I would say here is I don't think I'm making it 240 in this situation if I'm PUFC boy. For the simple reason is I don't want someone to call me because they're getting some kind of value with his 10 jack or his, or his king queen or something. Yeah, let him call in for all his chips. I'm sure I've got the best hand at the moment. I've got the, I've got the 5th best hand. And if someone's got a better hand, it's just bad luck. Yeah, it's very tricky, isn't it? I think when you're moving through the levels of the tournaments and the blinds are changing, is finding the right value. And this is the conversation I mentioned that I had today with a guy. I said, before you even reach for your chips, work out what you want to happen here, and then try and think about what's going to get you. So there, as you say, if Posh, he's got his 10s, if he wants a call, what does he do? If he wants to get rid of people? Yeah. What we've got here, we've got an interesting hand. What do you do here? It's interesting. Now this, I don't mind taking a bit more of a risk because it's less susceptible. So this, I don't mind. I might even just, I might just double it, but just to try and get some action.
Yeah, I think it actually comes back to me, and I end up all in. I can't remember again.
Well, they re-raised you, did they?
I think I do, but. It's interesting to see the hands they had. I could be wrong. Maybe they just tease me for a while and then they get out of it. Yeah,
I can't see. Because they know that you're committed to this hand regardless of what you have. So unless they think that their hand is the better one, which I can't imagine they do.
No.
PUFC boy might take a different stance on it for the simple reason that you've done it once to him a moment ago.
Well, exactly. And I'm trying to, again, I can't really go back into remembering what I was thinking because I was thinking too many things, but it might be because of the little bit of history we just had for a few hands. It seemed it was one of those things where I know that I'm potentially pushing people away from a hand that I should cash in on, but I think I must have just had a reason to believe that there was a chance somebody would come to me, maybe because of this. Again, sorry guys, I can't remember. Pair of 8s, good on you. Oh, this is a conversation we had about 8s. The fact that we can now see that both the 8s are already out in somebody else's hands that's just been mucked. Not going to fill Jim Matthew with too much joy about retrospectively making that move. But he's all in, he's got a pocket pair, no one else has. And only one of his opponents has an overcard to him with the ace. Ace-7 suited.
Yeah, it's a bit expensive for QP, I think, to call. He doesn't want to call. He's not a caller, he's an aggressor. He saves his 320, and quite wisely so. No implied odds for him. And plus, someone in the small blind or big blind might wake up with a big hand. So he decided to get out and not waste his 320, and I think that's a wise move.
Yep.
Well, the blinds are 80-160.
Yeah, they're starting to get scary.
Yeah. And this is, I'm not sure if this was a level that I, was it 80-160 or 163? No, I think mine was 163-20, where I was the first one out, and the blinds were that level. So, or was it 180-160? It might have been this one, I can't remember. It was one of the two anyway. So you're in a similar situation anyway.
Yeah.
And no one's really dominating. It's still.
No, it was very tight for enough. We just had an email I just quickly mentioned to F Bandit, who I apologise is actually a girl, Beth. Hello, Beth. Who was saying, just for the record, I'm not a guy. Okay, sorry, Beth. Thanks for the game, Matt. And to be honest, that was even tighter than those games normally are. See, everyone knew it was my first time. They just wanted to chew me out while I was otherwise distracted.
Oh, well, you beat the presenter virgin?
Yeah, this is my first one.
Ah.
First night in seat 1, first night beat the presenter.
Lots of firsts.
Lots of firsts. I'm a broken man, I'm ruined. Ace-3 in the big blind.
And you've got someone called Fast Bandit sending you emails.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's all happening for you. That could be your first too.
Hey! Well, at least it's a girl called Beth. Hello, Beth. Hi, Beth. How you doing? What did I do? I think I might have actually had that might have been a bit of an auto check-off fold while something else was going on. Could be wrong.
Yeah, well, you had a pair of 9s and did old Beth there.
Another big power hand for me on the button. Very pleased to look down at 3-6. Just aware that, you know, the blinds are 160. I got 940. Trying desperately hard to impress everybody. And it's very interesting, actually. You know, it sounds stupid, but that's the first single table tournament I've played in a long while where I haven't really watched it. And it's amazing the amount of information you lose. You know, and it proves the point about the difference. You know, somebody asked the seller on about multi-tabling, and the point I made about Mike Matasow saying, you know, that's just playing cards, is that it's very hard to play the game when you've not been watching, because you don't really build up much of a, you don't have any image about how, you know, PUFC boy is, how, you know, aggressive he is, how many cheap flops he sees. And it's funny how much I'm aware that you log without really making a big conscious thought about the players, just by watching it.
Yeah.
When somebody makes a move, you get a vibe. And I say this a lot about tells. You know, I did this book, making reference to and doing chapters on tells and stuff like that, is that tells are never as obvious as people think. It's not somebody scratching their ear and putting their hand over their mouth when they're bluffing. Tells are quite often something you're not even truly aware of what they are, but you're sitting against a player, they make a move, and you just have the feeling they are, you know, lying, putting strength where there's weakness, etc., etc. And I think you do get a certain amount of that vibe online, which is you can't put your finger on it, but it's the speed of people's movements or a pattern they seem to be repeating. And it's so important to just focus on games, because otherwise you don't pick that up.
It is important, yeah. I mean, you've brought up an interesting thing about knowing when, you know, watching a game and picking up information. And one thing that I was thinking about, you know, there was a question about multi-tabling earlier. And one thing I will say is that had I not been in a position to have 3 separate decent-sized windows on my screen, all at the without overlapping, then I probably wouldn't play it. I wouldn't multi-table in that fashion. So I'd do it because if they're overlapping, then that would just not be good for me. I wouldn't like to play it that way.
Yeah, and I found I tried, you know, many of these sites allow you to sort of have a minimised, oh, hello, that looks quite nice. What do I do with this? I got a horrible, I think I might
Aces and kings.
Aces and kings, and I think I'll waste this as well. See, I just, get it over. Somebody make me a fortune or leave me alone, I think is pretty much the message being issued forth here.
Well, you've played it in an interesting way. I wonder what QP will think. Well, he's obviously thinking I'm best at I'm 50-50 at best.
Yeah, well,
unless you're doing it with ace-5, which I doubt.
240 in the blinds.
So QP, I don't think, can call with this pair, because it's practice. It is his tournament life, and he likes to be the aggressor, not the caller.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's going to try and take you out now.
I think I'm just going to pick up the blinds again here. See, look at me wasting. Learn from my mistakes, everybody. Don't underplay aces. Don't underplay kings. I think I was typing in fold exclamation mark in an attempt to make him think I was fooling with him.
Yeah, unfortunately, I had nothing to come back at you with.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Again, we said it before, you know, what's good hands, and aces is a great hand. I've clearly made a massive bet there, but the truth is no one really had hands that they were likely. I think if I'd made it small enough, then maybe the pair of sixes calls, but...
Well, you're in exactly the same situation that I was, basically. No one is out, and the blinds are 160, 320.
Yeah.
So...
well, that's the point some of the guys are making. Just, I mean, there was lots of checks saying, come on, guys, everyone, just like, you know. And as you say, it's because the blinds, a couple of blinds and everybody's out.
Well, basically, no one's got more than 5 times a big blind.
No.
You know,
and I've got Jack,
QP is struggling to do that. He's just about got it.
I got Jack 4, and I know that I'm about to get stung with, you know,
we have no
480's worth of small and big blinds doing an orbit. So
yeah, a very tight game this has been.
Yeah.
So, well, as I said, I went out first when the blinds were this level. So let's see if we can take it even one more level to the 324, 640 mark before someone goes out.
Exactly what terminates is all in with his suited ace queen. Bang! Everyone had the button click there. I mean, never mind the beat the presenter. Any of the single table tournaments we watch very rarely get to this level with everybody still in it.
Yeah, it's very unlikely.
I think everyone was just ganging up on me. Listen to my pity story.
Well, no one's got anything to call with here, so we're going to see another.
Absolutely, walk. And that's the thing is, I've got 320. Look, I've only got 860 left, and I'm thinking, well, what odds should I feel both cards are going to be live. I get the feeling I'm up against an ace something, not an ace. Should I say an ace and something? But I'm thinking, well, Jack 2, lots of chips. they're live, but I just so didn't want to go out first on my first time.
It's not a case of first. I don't think you can call with Jack 2. It's one thing making a move with it.
Absolutely. Well, absolutely. I know. I always say this. You know, that's the important thing, isn't it? Is if you're going to make a move like that, you want to be the aggressor. You want to be the one taking the initiative, not following other people's bets.
We've got 3 people all in here, and POFC boy is the only one with a pair.
Pair of 9s.
And a pair of 6s. He can't get counterfeited, and he makes his house. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can be pleased to see that. 3 6s and
Split
2
pot.
9s.
Yeah.
And POFC boy takes the main pot, and Fast Bandit takes the side pot that was there between him and QP.
A pair of pocket 10s. All in for 580. Still just about enough chips to challenge a small blind. Big blind's really getting so much value out of this. Got to call with anything. As it turns out, Ace 10 not the worst decision to make. One of Fast Bandit's 10s is dead.
Needs a 9 or a king. He's got a belly buster.
There's a 5, and at this point, no one could believe that everyone was still here. And I was thinking, oh no, please. I was getting to that desperate point of somebody just go out so that I'm at least second from last, or give me a hand and triple me up. But once again, 4-10 diamonds. I'm sorry, but I don't remember reading any books that told me exactly what to do with 4-10. And that's the other thing is funny is that a number of hands where I thought, right, never mind the cards, I'm going to make a move here. Somebody made a move before me. And you know, it's like, if that comes around to me with a couple of limpers or checks, I might just make a move because I've still got 700s. 700's still a sizable chunk of chips to scare many of the people on the table with their chip stacks. But every time I had it in my mind, well, maybe I'm going to make a move here regardless of my hand. Because every time I'd made a big move with a big hand, most people had just got out of it. I'm thinking maybe everyone's so scared of getting knocked out. But every time that came into my mind, someone before me made a big move and all of a sudden I've lost the initiative. And
yeah, it's all about timing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, we can see, let's see if there's going to be a bit of timing here from Terminates. And there's not. We could have got away with that one. And POFC breathes a sigh of relief, I think, on that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Queen 3, another big hand for me. Very happy to see that as the blinds tick away in the background. Shelby with the pocket 3s. Really nobody else with anything other than position to play with.
And another walk.
Another walk in the park. But I mean, a ludicrous. How long's the game been going? Everyone's still hanging in there. 3 Jack for me. Again, very pleased to see that. And also now the worst thing is the button has moved around the table enough that I'm no longer in a position where I can just make a move regardless of my cards. That, you know, that opportunity only comes once every orbit, where you're in a, you know, you've got a couple of positions where you think, well, I'm just going to make a move here. 163.20 puts Jimati all in. Again, crazy.
They don't really want to call, do they? That's the thing. They don't want to call a bad hand, so they want to make a move with it.
9-8.
Oh, that's worked out.
Got himself
Matty's going to be our first person to leave the table. And it was hard for him. Once he'd lost that pot, he was down to a very smudging of chips, and it just wasn't enough.
Ace-9. And this actually, this hand I do remember is I feel myself a bit unlucky in this hand. So we've got Terminates goes all in, and he, as we see, has got Ace-4 suited. Very easy for me to push in here. And I'm thinking, well, this is good. This could put me back with a, even though compared to the blinds it's not very many chips, I'm thinking, well, this could be good. I could come back with this at least on level terms. Hit my 9. I'm going to triple up here. Ace-9. And then the king comes down. So we've now got
aces and kings with a 9.
Aces and kings with a 9. So
nothing for 3 pair in this game.
Nothing, sadly, no. So I felt a little bit shortchanged there because it got me back over £1,000. But blinds are 326.40. What's £1,000? I was rather hoping to have a bit more than that.
Yeah.
And here I'm thinking, well, yeah, Shelby could go out. At least maybe I get a bit of pride. You know, at least I'll live a bit longer.
And what did Shelby have?
In that hand was Queen 8.
Right.
And then King High got Shelby back in there, and I'm thinking, oh, for God's sake, please. Ace Queen. I mean, now we see that the big blind I mean, it's just perfect for there's, you know, that's just such a perfect position. You've got everybody is low on chips. People are bound to make a move. Even in the face of that, I'm thinking, do you know what? If I'm not going to play ace queen, I've got to fear ace king and aces, and you know, there's plenty of things to fear. But the run of hands I've had, as you can see, I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about it, and I'm thinking about it, and I'm just like, do you know what? I've seen such rubbish. I'm just gonna hope that I don't run into ace kings.
Yeah, I don't.
I certainly didn't put Posh on as weak an ace as that. I really, and obviously I hadn't even considered the big blind because we have no information from him at this point. I mean, it's kind of ironic, really, because up against Posh, I got the big blind gets dealt pocket rockets. There's not a lot you can do about it.
Yeah, no, not a lot you can do.
So right. Sorry, chaps, didn't give you much of a game there. Next time, I promise, I'll bring my A game with me. Thermos.
I think that's pretty disgusting, actually. 7th.
I'm disgusted. Actually, do you know what? I don't mind 7th. I am disgusted about that call of the Queen 6. Sorry, the Queen King.
Yeah, that was definitely a mistake.
Even though that wasn't really a hand that did a huge amount of damage or changed the course, coming 7th with that run of play, fair dues. I had one where I felt I could have tripled up and it turned into a split. My ace queen runs into an ace 9 but a pocket aces. So, you know, I can't really complain. I think that's the only thing I would be kicking myself about is making move with the king queen. I don't mind because I've got position. I'm trying to take the initiative. To get a re-raise back, to be daft enough to actually still chase it, it's such a fingers crossed chase.
It is, yeah.
It's that's probably the most disappointing thing. Perhaps you saw something else I did, folks, that was even more disappointing than that. Please do feel free to text or email us and slag me off.
So,
sadly, the game goes on without me. I'm sure it wasn't half the game it was with me involved, and my half-arsed way of playing, sort of slightly paying attention.
Well, it was always going to be difficult when the blinds are that high. There's very little play. Although you made some nice moves with early on.
Yeah.
You saw you make a little steal there.
Well, that's the thing. Again, I'm trying to sort of put method into the madness, but I've got a funny feeling that was what led me to make the decision with some of those bigger hands to do it. Is that I'd got away a bit earlier on, but the truth was I think I wasn't really appreciating because I hadn't seen the way the blinds were going up. I hadn't appreciated the difference. Was I was making some big moves when the blinds were small, whereas by the time I started making the moves with the bigger hands, I think people were a bit more survival motivated.
Yeah.
So in fact, whereas initially I was making moves trying to push them off the hands, later on I think I was kind of expecting too much of them, that they might come in and call for it, but I think people had just gone a bit tight up there. But there you go. 7th place. I'll make a note of that in the book. Must do better. See me after. Could do better. Could do better.
Yeah. Detention.
Detention. See me after. Daz got the best of it against 7 8s. So I bet everyone loosens up now. Now they're pleased they've made the presenter look silly.
So kings and 3s to the jack beats a pair of 3s. Ace king jack.
Shelby in by default. Another pocket rockets coming round.
Yeah,
it's a shame that Beth's only got 220. There's a queens and 7s. So we're going to see any upsets here. Queens and 7s splitting it, or is ace going to win? No. Aces and 7s. Shelby's out, and just a shame for Beth that didn't have more chips there. Wow. Another pocket rockets.
Incredible.
That's 4 we've had in this game. I guess that's because it lasted so long. But
and you had kings?
I had kings and
aces.
aces.
Is there any other kings out there? Didn't see any.
No, don't think we saw any.
I think it was queens though, wasn't there? Against ace queen or something.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Oh, Posh.
That was a good bet there by PUFC boy, but unfortunately
timing
was a little bit off. River Daz had an overpair to the board. And very difficult for PFC boy to put him on that.
In the blink of an eye, I barely put my coat on. We're down to the bubble. The 3 boys in the money. Well done. Well, sorry, 2 boys and the girl. Beth's all in with 6-7 versus 2-3. Well. Yeah, 2, 3, 4, 5 options for everybody here.
And that gives
3s and 5s. Oh no,
flush.
Yep, so there's a flush.
Yeah. Flush for Beth.
She lives. I think there must be extra queens and jacks in this deck. Everyone seems to at least get one queen or jack.
There seems to be a lot of them, doesn't there?
If they're not busy getting pocket aces, they're getting queens and jacks.
Wow, look at this brave bet by River.
Yeah, that's a bold move.
When he's doing it, you know why he's doing it. He's doing it because he's looking over to Beth and thinking she hasn't got many chips, and QP won't want to go out before she does.
Absolutely, you've got to be aware of the chips, and it's a big deal when you go and play live. If you're used to playing online and it's all nicely typed in above the names and you see what's in the pot, and you get live where there's chips everywhere, especially a messy game like 7-card stud, you haven't got a clue what people have got. So you need to very quickly get the skill of staring at people's chips and working out what they've got. It's all so easy online. Ace high on top of the board tens. River does, knocks Beth out in third place. Well done, Beth. Well, there's River Daz. Well done, River. Well, thanks again for the game, guys. I promise I will return with a vengeance. We've actually got an email from Posh Boy saying, with the pocket fours, yes, Matt played well, but once my raise was called, it was nowhere near strong enough to chase or raise, so was pleased to put them down. Not really a bad play in my book, in reference to when I made a move against him with nothing.
Yeah. No, there's nothing he could have done in that situation. No. You played it well, you know, you can't call in that situation.
No.
So.
And that was the plan. So the play I made later, under the gun, this was where he was actually the big blind right at the end, had the pocket aces, and he was first to act, and he went all in with ace-queen.
Right.
He's saying the play I made later under the gun to an ace-ace with ace-queen was really a poor play. Well, actually, I don't think it was. I think the blinds were enormous. You look down.
It's because it was a second. You were actually calling. That was the thing. You're calling an under the gun raiser, weren't you? That was the reason what you were saying. Because he'd raised.
Oh, do you know what? I thought he was critiquing himself.
No. You're
absolutely right.
He raised with ace-6.
Yeah.
He went all in with ace-6, and you, in effect, called with ace-queen,
yes.
and then the big blind had the aces.
Absolutely, absolutely right. But the truth is saying that I believed I had the best of Posh, and which I did. But of course, I couldn't have known that we were both going to run into a pocket aces. So
I don't think it's a bad play. I don't really think so.
I don't think it's that awful. I know what you're saying. I mean, I lost it, so yeah, it was a rubbish play. But I don't think it was that bad. I remember thinking about it quite a long while. I thought, I've got a grand left. The blinds are going bonkers. If you don't like ace-queen, even in the face of a raise, I still felt there was just a weak ace coming at me, which I think is what you had at the end. But thanks very much for getting in touch.
I think it got to that stage where you had to take a chance.
Yes, absolutely.
There was no two way about it. You had to take a chance, and you know, there's no other way of playing it, I don't think. You can't throw it away. No,
and I think that's the thing, is it makes a big difference when you get to that level of the tournament. Still all 8 of you in there, the blinds are going crazy, is that I think even if you're out of position and even if there's action ahead of you, sometimes you've got to think, well, this hand is really not something that I'm going to lay down.
And the thing to remember is that, you know, basically you were just unlucky to catch one of the blinds with a huge hand.
Yeah.
That's really what it boils down to.
Absolutely.
So,
OK, well, that's enough of me making excuses about being beaten in 7th place. An email from Scott. Hello guys, Scott here. What's your opinion on 6-seater cash games versus 10-seater cash? I play a lot of 10-seat and I play a tight game, for instance. If someone opens with a raise ahead of me, I'll fold most hands worse than a pair of 10s and re-raise with those premium hands. Perhaps I'll call with suited connectors if there's lots of value in the pot and it's a minimum raise. My point is, in a 10-seater cash game, I'll muck ace-queen for a good raise in front of me, but can you afford to do this in a 6-seater cash game? Hand values must change for a 6-seat game, but you can just wait for 10-10. So
he's right. Yeah. I mean, he's right. Your hand values definitely go down in a 6-seater cash game. What also goes down is the pre-flop action. So if you're playing a tight game, 6-seater is probably not the best game for you. You probably want to stick with an 8-seater or above. Because you are playing tight and you're playing cards more so in a 6-seater. You know, let's take it to the other extreme. Let's say you're playing heads up. You're not playing cards anymore, are you? Really, you're playing situational games and mind games. So that's the other extreme. But of course, 6-seater games are somewhere in between. So yeah, I think it's just a case of whether you're prepared to make moves and stuff like that.
Yeah, it depends if you're a player that likes to get a bit more action, a bit more involved in it. Obviously, the short-handed games give you that more movement to not be so worried about other hands. But thanks very much for your email. We're going to take a short break, but when we come back, we're going to pick up the multi-table tournament again and see how that's getting on. So we will see you in just a few moments. Hello, welcome back to Poker Night Live. We're in our last hour here with us. Thanks for joining us. Thanks again for all your emails and texts. And just to remind you, we do welcome all of the texts that you send us. We've still got an hour to go, plenty of time to answer all your questions. If you would like to send us a text or email, this is how you can do so. You can text us on 62211. That number on your screen, 62211. Any questions, comments, queries, anecdotes, pictures of fish, whatever you fancy. Or an email, poker@pokerlightlive.co.uk if you would like to contact us that way. Or you can even speak to us. We can hear your voice, 0906 200 7080. Thanks again very much for all of your input tonight. We are going to go to our multi-table tournament, which has been running in the background all night. We've jumped in and out of it, following our chip leaders and our people getting knocked out. We are down now to our last 5 players, so we are going to go and follow them now and see how they get on. Just to remind you, we started with 120 players. Our last 5 guys in the money here. 5th place is $96. 4th place, 114. 3rd, 150. 2nd, 240. And 1st, 360. So not too bad for a couple of hours investment, and $10 to walk away if you get first prize here. 360. That's going to pay for plenty more of your multi-tables. And that's why they're such profitable things. Huge variance on tournament play. But when you make it into the money, it's worthwhile. And 120 players, actually pretty reasonable to cut through, isn't it? It's not
easy. No, absolutely. It's not easy at all.
Still a fair
task.
Yeah, fairly impressive stuff. And here we see some of our guys. None of the guys here we're seeing, funny enough, are the people that we tuned into earlier on. We saw various chip leaders. These guys have all been under the radar until the business end. But check me, up in our 8th seat, 16,995. Star Thunder, 20,000, just under 21,000. E-Razor, 41.
Just a couple of interesting names that you might be interested in. Chupper 50 is a regular player on here. Came 18th. Mopper, who, if you remember, was a chip leader.
Yeah.
When we looked at it last, he came in 17th. Will Tomcat, another regular, 14th. And Vipec, 9th. And coming up to 8th, Anton was 8th for $48. Panini was 7th for $60. Aussie 311, 6th for...
Well, there Aussie was one of the guys we tuned into. Yeah, well done, Aussie. We did tune on you a little bit earlier on. And commiserations to Musclebug, who was our bubble boy. He made it to 11th, just before he would have made some money back. It's a lot of people to get through just to go home empty-handed, but that's poker.
Yeah, they've done pretty well to get to this stage.
Well, it's all encouraging. You know, you've got to keep a record of these things you do, because you can't sniff at cutting through that many players. You didn't make it in the bubble, but you did a lot better than 100 and something players. See that mental arithmetic there? I just threw that out there. Check me decides that
E-Razor hasn't lived with a big hand.
Exactly. That's just out of nowhere on the button. Decides, you know what? Give me your blinds.
Yeah, and a limper, under the gun limper.
Indeed, yeah.
Yeah. So, this could be interesting.
Yep, some big hands here.
Although Star Thunder has announced that he's got a decent hand, and it's just got a bit better. He's now hit top pair. Got to be worried about those clubs though. So I don't think he'll be giving away any cards here. And I'm surprised he's made it that small actually. I thought he would have just shoved a lot in and hoped that no more clubs appear.
Yeah.
He no doubt would have got called. He would have called any re-raise, I think. So he might as well just stick it in, I think.
Absolutely. Buffy be good on the button. Getting out of the way. Well, again, some interesting hands people might want to get involved with here. Queen, Jack, Ace, King, pocket twos. No, pocket twos unlikely to want to get involved with somebody having raised it up. Check me having a think about this. Well, that gives out a message. That sends out a message. Okay, you want to raise it up? How about this? That's not a raise, this is a raise.
Oh, he's announced that he wants to go to war with this hand.
An ace or a 10, sorry,
No.
should I say?
Yeah, surprising that Tavius re-raised there, because in effect he wasn't really re-raising, he was just calling, because the guy was not obviously going to fold it.
No.
So all you're doing with the Queen Jack is just calling. That's what you've got to say to yourself. There's two ways to win in poker. One is by your hand being better and winning or outdrawing someone, or two is by actually putting someone off the hand. The fact that he went all in was really not an all in at all in terms of a re-raise, because the guy was committed. Whatever hand he had, all he was going to do was call you. So in effect, all you're doing is calling with that hand, not re-raising. That's one of your options gone.
Absolutely.
So he thought that check me was at it, and he wasn't. Buffy be good, wins it with ace-10 suited on a big blind.
Star Thunder under the gun with ace-10. Makes it 4-8. Tavius on the button with ace-9. Wow, that's a big shout back there, all in. Gets called by ace-10. Got him covered. Ace-10 takes it down.
Well, and Tavius goes home in fifth.
Yep, 96 bucks for his trouble, well done.
Yeah, well done, Tavius. Not easy getting through that field.
Absolutely. Well, pocket kings, the ace is a spoiler, but he's going to do the right thing and ask a question. We said this, Betton's got to ask a question. Do you have the ace? Do you want to fight?
Yeah, absolutely. You've got to ask the question. You can't just check and know that the guy's likely to bet out with absolutely anything.
Well, fish hooks there. Pocket jacks for Star Thunder under the gun. 4-4-6. Strong bet that says, anybody want to fight? Has the best of it. And there's some scary possibilities on the board.
Yeah, unfortunately, Buffy was wondering whether he could have got him off that hand, but we can see he had a very strong hand indeed. He wasn't going to move.
Yeah.
He wasn't doing it with a rag king or a rag ace.
No.
Which is another possibility, but too risky. And check me is making a move here, and very strong play. From the small blind. Buys himself another round, and that's always nice. Only problem is if you do it too often, you get found out. So you've got to time it so that you're not doing it so often.
Absolutely. $1,000, $2,000. Blinds are still not too scary for these guys.
Nope. That's 8-9 suited, looking very interesting.
Yeah.
What's he going to do with that? And he does the right thing. That's the play I like. And check me, can't do it. And that's bought him another round. So that's pretty good. Well done, E-Razor. Too often we see buttons with those kind of hands. People just drop them.
Yeah.
You can't keep waiting for ace-queen or ace-king or ace-jack or ace-10 to do that with.
Absolutely. Plenty of value in those kind of hands.
If you do get called, it's not the sort of hand people put you on. So, and plus you've got position. So lots of reasons to play it. And that's a pretty scary board. Will check me bet. I bet he will. I've got a feeling he will. There he goes. He thinks, well, if it's scary for me, it's going to be scary for my opponent. The only thing I'll say about the bet is very weak. That's the only thing. He should have been a bit more forceful with it. I think he got away with it on that occasion, but I think that was a little fortunate to get away with such a weak bet. I might have been tempted to re-raise, I don't know. Sensing weakness.
Yeah. Yeah, it's considering the way the betting has gone in most instances in the last, the last 10 hands we've watched. That's a very, very small move to make if it's a move at all.
Yeah. Now this is interesting. E-Razor's got no option here but to bet out. Once again, he's made it a weak bet, which makes it cool. But having said that, he's not going to get Star Thunder off the hand.
No.
So now he's just got to ask. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of textbook stuff there, really, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. It was all by the book there, yeah. And E-Razor done exactly the right thing. He bet out, he couldn't win it. Star Thunder sensed the weakness. I've got position on you. I've got a nut flush draw as well. I'll bet, and I've got outs even if you do happen to call with something. So he read it well, and they've both done the right thing, really.
Buffy there must have been thrilled to see a pair of queens on the button and only managed to take the blinds out of it.
Yeah, risky playing it in the other way, but sometimes you need to, in order to jump up, you need to take risks.
And a win is a win. A slow player and somebody outdraws you, so there's not really much you can complain about there. I think people always feel that queens should earn them much more, but queens are still easily beaten. Pocket nines. Not the worst flop in the world for a pocket nines. Makes a bet to find out if they're up against anything.
Yeah.
The answer's no.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think there's some really great examples in this of where people are using betting effectively to find out what they're up against.
Yeah, these guys certainly seem to be doing it, which is good. We've seen 2 or 3 instances now of people doing that, so that's very good play. So well done, guys. Nice textbook stuff. And the problem is, Matt, isn't it? Sometimes when you get into these situations, your bottle goes a little bit, doesn't it? And you tend not to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're just worried about losing out or looking silly on the TV or whatever. Well, that's pretty good for ace-3. He must know he's ahead, and I dare say, with the pot being what it is, the rest of the money should now go in.
Exactly, 20 grand in there.
Yeah, he does, and he can't call checkmate. So, well done, Buffy. Be good.
Hang on. Check Me wants to thwart your plans, Mr. Mark. Come on, Check Me. We know. Probably just taking a moment to type something abusive into the chat box.
Yeah, that was the right play.
Yeah, no, that was good. And a big shout out to Darnish out there. Good evening. Feel like a Radio 1 DJ. Having it large. Well, Buffy's had a few nice hands here. Is she going to get paid off, or he, or
no.
them? No. The story of your evening, Buffy. Ace-3. See how they play it after seeing how well I did with my ace-2 earlier on, my suited ace-2.
Yeah, no one's giving much away here, are they? And the nice thing is they're not that desperate, really. With no running antes, they've got they're all in pretty comfortable shape. We've got 19 times the big blind as 18 times the big blind, worst case scenario, which is not terrible, and fairly passive-y table. So it means that you're generally able to steal blinds as well. So it's going to take, I think, someone making a big error or 2 big hands against each other. Let's have a look. I've got a feeling it's going to be a big hand against a big hand.
Yeah.
None of them seem to be making too many mistakes.
No, and no one's really got any advantage in chips.
No, there's no big advantages really.
No one needs to. Yeah, no one needs to be panicking and thinking, "Oh God, these guys are moving ahead of me on the field." It's loads of player left in this.
Yeah, no, there is tons.
Which is good news for us because these people all seem to know what they're doing. It's all lots of good lessons to be learnt.
Yeah, check me deciding for a different alternative. He thought he'll steal it on the flop rather than steal it pre-flop. And a good bit of variance of play. Oh, he hasn't. That's surprising.
That is.
With a 10-3-2 flop as well, I think that's a mistake.
It'd be interesting if E-Razor sees this situation and thinks,
yeah, he does. Well, he's done the right thing. Once again, the bet is a bit, it was about pot size bet, wasn't it, more or less?
Yeah,
just a tiny bit under.
Just under.
I would have liked to have seen a little bit more, but no, he sensed the right thing there. E-Razor, perfect play by E-Razor. He thought, okay, well, 10-3-2, if you don't like that, And the two on the turn wouldn't have helped you.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take it down now. I've got for bluffing rights, first to bet, and he does the right thing. So good play there by E-Raise, and I think check me Mr. Step.
And Buffy, I think once again, is the same situation we keep seeing them get into. Get a decent hand on the button and just keeps walking away with the blinds, which is nothing to be sniffed at, but not getting any action here.
No.
Must be wondering, well, I keep betting 6,000. No one else says a different amount I should be betting. But
Well, maybe you should do it with worse hands.
yeah.
If he keeps winning,
Yep.
maybe you should do it twice around rather than just once. Or 1.5 times around.
Yeah, just keeping themselves financed in blinds here.
Yeah, because unfortunately he's not going to get enough good hands, four-handed, to pay off that time.
Absolutely.
He's not going to have them once every 4, is he?
Star Thunder's picked up 2 pair. E-Razor's just got the pocket. Asks the question. There we go again. Ask the question. Anybody out there want to? I think, to be honest, with the jack and the ace out there, that's only ever going to get one answer.
Yeah.
It would be tempting to lie and bluff that just because it.
Yeah, and that was a good play there.
Yeah.
I would say normally that might be considered a weak bet. The problem being was that he had 3 overcards to himself and he didn't want to throw too much behind it. It was a good chance that he was behind with 3 overcards on the board. So he thought, okay, well, I'll put a bet out there that might scare anyone off with half a hand, but
8,000,
won't scare anyone off with a medium hand. So, and I thought that was okay. Had he had middle pair or something like that, then I'll say, okay, maybe the weak bet was a bit weak. But with 4th pair in effect, he felt that it was less likely to be winning. Well, we've got, look at this, house against nut flush draw.
Yeah.
Are we going to? I think we're going to see a loser here.
Well,
we've got. We're not going to see a loser, but we will see. Check me double up.
2,000. Tickle, tickle, he says.
Yeah. Well, this is nonsense. Isn't he? He's not going to. The guy's just going to raise, and they're trying to working out how they can get as much chips as possible out of the other person. And they've both got strong hands. They're not going to lay down. If they all one of them shoves the chips in now, it's just going to get instantly called.
Yeah.
So.
Aces and king. Yeah. I see. Unless Star might put him on ace king and now fear it now.
No, he wants the rest of his chips. Yeah. Star Thunder said, "I want the rest of your chips." Little does he know he's behind, and he thought, "Gosh, I don't think I was. I didn't realise I was behind in that one."
Probably a good thing that we can't see the chat box at this stage of the game.
Yeah.
Probably a few abbreviated expletives going on there.
Well, check me. Is now got into a very strong position. He's now chip leader.
Yep, and it's the first time since we've been watching really that there's a major difference between the short stack and the leader. E-Razor decides that pocket jacks is good enough. The blind's still at 1,200. Very strange blind structure we use here. 1,000, 2,000.
He's getting these sort of half hands as well, which keep him interested, doesn't he?
Yeah, absolutely.
So this could be interesting here. We can see a raise, we are. And check me, he's not going to fold.
Well, Star Thunder, again, asks the question, gets the answer.
Yeah, good play there by Star Thunder especially.
It's an interesting point, isn't it, that a lot of people playing Hold'em are very good at pre-flop decisions, but their post-flop play is quite often an area of weakness. And it's something I think that people don't really consider as an area of development when they're looking at how to improve their game. But post-flop play is so important.
It is, yeah. And I think you get a lot of new players in that scenario. They don't like playing flops, basically.
Yeah.
And no limit, in a way, helps you get away from that, because you can just shove it all in pre-flop.
Absolutely.
Whereas in pot limit games, that's not the case. You can play flops.
I think the thing is,
you have to.
Some people can be very transparent in their pre-flop play, so that the flop comes down, you can almost immediately get a feel for where they are.
Yeah.
And your betting can really just establish that very quickly. But again, you sometimes got to have guts that if you really believe the guy's got ace king, ace queen or something by his action before the flop, when none of that comes down, you've got to have the guts to actually make a move against somebody like that to push them away. And it's a bit like we had an email earlier, there's somebody saying, my problem is I keep finding people that will chase it, and then they hit it. And it's like, well, if you identify people as that, well, then you've got to take that out of your strategy when you're against those players. You've got to realise that actually your post-flop brilliance is not going to push these people off. But that only comes with your study and your knowledge about players and you being able to change tactics.
Well, Star Thunder was going for, I'm surprised there wasn't a bet prior to this here. He was going for a double belly buster, an 8 or a queen would have made him a straight. And I'm surprised we didn't see him betting rather than calling. But he did bet on the end when he actually missed, and lucky for him, Buffy didn't have anything.
Yeah, funny that when he still actually had live cards to come and opportunities to improve, he didn't bet, but when actually the river came and he knew he had nothing, right, well, I think I'll get moving now. But must have sensed some sort of momentum.
Somebody's saying, have you got a queen or an 8?
Yeah.
I'll take a chance that you don't have either of those. And, oh, what a good re-raise by E-Razor.
Yeah.
He sensed the weakness in that. That was lovely play by E-Razor.
Strong move.
Very strong. Very strong indeed. Well done. Good read. Saw it as a weak bet and said, I'll challenge that weak bet. Are you weak? And yep, sure he was. Sure enough he was. He's thinking to himself, well, if you've got a queen or an 8, I think you're going to be betting more than that, unless you've picked up a monster and you're trying to tickle me.
Oh, messy flop for a pair of messy hands.
Yeah, first a bet there, wasn't it? Well, we're seeing a lot of earned pots here. A lot of people are having to bluff in order to win the pot.
Yeah.
Because they keep missing and missing. Let's see if this hand turns out any different. We've got an under-the-gun razor, and he's stolen it there. Star Thunder goes from strength to strength. And he's starting to pull away from the rest of the field now. He's starting to create a bit of a gap there, hasn't he, Matt?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we sort of check me start moving in that direction. But it moves around regularly enough, doesn't it, that you still can't really put anybody out of this. 15-3, the blinds. Buffy now just doubling every time Buffy gets a good hand. Not sure. 6,000, I keep trying 6,000. Anybody want to call me?
Yeah, this time the 6,000 is only double for big blind.
Yeah.
But he did have position, so even if he did get called, he would have the benefit of that.
Absolutely. Buffy, another little hand to play around with in the late position and the cut-off here.
Well, check me's going to raise, this is for sure.
Yeah. Well,
Whoa.
maybe not. Now that Star Thunder's stolen his thunder, as it were.
Yeah, well, he's got position on Buffy, and Buffy, I think the only move here is to go all in if he wants to. He can't call with this hand.
Yeah.
You can't call 6,000 out of your 24. You're either committed with this or you're not.
To cross your fingers and pray.
Yeah.
The fact that Star Thunder's got one of his foes anyway, I think that's totally acceptable to just dump that.
Yeah.
As you say, it's
didn't look like a steal. Well, Star Thunder hasn't made that in play before that we've been watching, so yeah, that's an acceptable play. Certainly that or all in. It's not certainly not a call. Well, 10-2-5, pair of fires for check me, middle pair. Is he going to have a go? And what happens if Razor makes a... And check me realises that I've got the best hand. Pretty sure I have. Let's put a bet out there, see. Can't believe you're going to check a 10.
Absolutely, and you do get the feeling that check me is a good name. It's a challenge. Come on then, try and check me. Bang, raise. So he's advertising the way that he plays.
Yeah, and he's off again. And Star Thunder has no response. And check me's starting to gain some of that lost ground. He's now our second position person at the moment, so he's looking pretty healthy.
Yep.
Although this is no limit hold'em. All the chips can go in any one hand. All it takes is one hand of madness and you're out.
It's going to be it. Is check me going to make a move here?
Well, it's been 6.
Tickle.
Star Thunder.
Well, there you go.
Well,
is he likely to get much more money?
He's now this says I don't believe that you've got the 9 to check me. So check me doesn't believe that. He's just now wondering whether he's got a queen or a pocket pair really. And check me lost a lot of chips there, didn't he?
Yeah, second quad of the night there. 4 9s. We saw 4 8s earlier on.
Yeah, quad 9s for Star Thunder.
Star Thunder really racing off now. Yeah.
Oh look, we could see another move, re-raise all in. especially between the blinds. They both got semi-hands,
yeah.
and Buffy be good. He's not taking any chances, and Checkmate says, "Okay, let's go."
7s and 2s, and yep,
that's going to do it.
There
yeah,
you go.
Full house.
7s full of 2s, and Checkmate suddenly in real trouble there.
Incredible, wasn't it? It was chip leader a moment ago,
exactly.
second not that long ago.
And you said the comment yourself, it's no limit. Who knows what can happen? One moment of madness, I think was the phrase, and there we go. Just by running into Star Thunder.
Yeah, with the quad 9s as well. You don't usually get paid on quads as well.
No.
And Checkmate had a nice hand pre-flop, but it didn't improve.
No, we saw Buffy down on 20 odd thousand, and Checkmate steaming ahead, and now Buffy must be thinking, hello.
This is good chance to jump up another spot.
Yeah.
Now,
you're going to make it 6,000 out of tradition. Yeah, there's the 6,000 bet.
Now, this is interesting. Star Thunder, I was going to say, could actually start putting Buffy under pressure here because of the fact that Checkmate's got so little chips left.
Yeah.
And he could almost do that with any hand. He doesn't have to. It just happens to have. He's got a semi-good hand anyway.
Absolutely.
But he could have done that with anything. And Buffy would find it very hard to call without a big hand, with one person.
Absolutely, and that's such a great illustration of how important it is to be aware of your opponent's chips, because as you say, right now Buffy's thinking, great, I'm going to be in third, and by challenging Buffy to get involved in a hand that could actually jeopardise that again, just because of knowing how close to being out the tournament Checkmate is.
Yeah.
It's you've got to have those kind of moves in your arsenal to be successful on these final tables. Checkmate all in.
Oh, he's hit the flush.
Wowee. He lives, but he's only just got himself 2 big blinds and a bit back.
Yeah.
Instantly.
He did have a straight draw as well.
Yeah, plenty of outs.
Plus his cards, of course. So, well, it's worked out okay. Now, is he going to commit himself to this hand? 6,800. And Buffy be good. Probably can't fold for the extra 3-8, I don't think.
Wow.
So,
Checkmate gave it up.
Yeah, probably Checkmate. He's looked at it and thought, I don't think you can fold. That's the problem.
Yeah.
But the problem is, I don't think you could have folded either. I'm not sure. 5-3. I suppose he could have folded. There's no great advantage of doing either. He did only have 5-6, I suppose. So King 10 for Buffy storms into the lead.
Yeah.
And Eraser now is not wanting to get involved with a Jack 7.
Oh. Buffy's still doing okay there.
Yeah, looking at Eraser, they're all sort of got an eye on. Sorry, Checkmate rather.
Yeah, they're all wondering how long he's going to hang on.
Once again, this will probably just get folded, I think, because they just don't. They know that he's on the big blind next, and they just won't do anything with any medium hands at all.
Yeah, he's got 3,000 about to bang into his 5 and a bit grand in the stack.
Yeah.
Ka-clunk.
Interesting to see whether Checkmate now decides to say, okay, look, I'm not going to play a hand, just see if I can get one of these 2 guys to go at it with each other and I move up a place.
Yeah.
He might decide that that's his preferred option. That'll buy him 4 hands, basically, 3 or 4 hands.
Well, Ace King.
He's got live cards.
There's a 4, but there's... Oh, wow, hello.
He's done it again.
He's back. They must be just banging their heads against the table here.
Yeah, especially Eraser, who's looking and hoping to automatically move out that place, and he's now seen him double up twice.
Exactly. And look, now here he goes. Checkmate must be loving it, thinking, if I fold, will Buffy please call? No, there you go, have some blinds, mate.
Yeah, Checkmate had the winner. Well, he had the best hand.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the winner, as we know in Hold'em, that can change in an instant.
Wowee!
And he could get paid again.
He could get a lot of chips out of this, because that's the great thing about the timing of this, is having just made a move and got himself up to 10 grand, if he manages to double up here, no one's likely to triple him up, but...
And now Star Thunder is probably saying to himself, finally I've got you.
Exactly.
Until the cards get turned over.
Let's see a queen. Let's see a queen is thinking, nope. There you go, wow, I see.
Incredible, isn't it?
Proves your point. No limit. Welcome to whatever. Eraser suddenly thinking, oh, hang on, this guy's very nearly got as many chips as me. I was all ready to
claim third spot.
Exactly.
For definite.
And there's a fair difference between these. 4th place picks up $114. Third is $150. It's not the biggest gap in the world, but these guys have only put $10 into this tournament, so it's a nice return. Eraser bound to make a move here.
Yeah, a little bit on the heavy side, I
think.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I would have liked to have seen a bet of around 8,000, something
But then
like
again,
that.
having made 2 huge, heavy bets myself, in my earlier tournament, I can barely give him too much grief.
So E-Razor not getting the most out of those jacks, I don't think. When you're four-handed and you're on the button, two players behind you, you almost want someone to call and just hope they don't hit a king or an ace or something, or a queen. But not to be, he just picked up the blinds.
Yep. Little mixed bag there. King 3 for Buffy.
We're going to put him to the test.
6,000.
That's not really putting him to the test, is it?
No,
he might,
but it might be enough.
It's just probably enough because of the bad cards,
Yeah.
and that's really it. That's because the cards are so bad. But yeah, he needs to put him to a bit more of a test, so he throws away a few more hands as well, because they're not worth the extra 6,000.
Wow, Star Thunder probably upset to get out, but a small blind and his own blind back out that with a suited ace jack. Wow, we're seeing some hands for these guys.
Yeah, they have had their fair share, haven't they? We've got a pair of sixes now. Oh, this is going to be curtains for someone, isn't it? Sixes against queens, and check me. I'd like to think he's going to fold this. He can't think that his ace-8 is...
No.
He does, and that's the right move.
That's the right thing. It's the big blind, but these guys... And again, maybe he's thinking, oh, you never know, like, what if Buffy goes all in here?
Great fold by Buffy.
Yeah, very
Great
good.
fold, yeah. He put a big... It's like you said, he put a decent bet out there. And he says, if you want to raise me 24, you must have something better than sixes.
Exactly. Look, and here we go again. Look, ace, king, pocket jacks, some real big hands. Oh, Star Thunder going to take this, yep.
Yeah.
Check me going to get out. Buffy, I would imagine, going to get out.
Yeah, well, this is interesting. Well, the king hits this time. Oh, he's got an up and down straight draw. He's an ace or a 9.
No.
Well,
E-Razor back in it again.
Yeah, Jack wouldn't have been any good in that situation.
No.
Would have made E-Razor the straight. Well, look at this. This is really topsy-turvy, isn't it?
It is. It's crazy. Everyone's taking it in turns to get some playable hands in various positions. Check me's gone, do you know what? I think I need to double up again.
Yeah. He's walked into it this time, and only a king will get him out. No.
Well, well done, Check me. To be really honest, we thought you were going to win it, and then we thought you were going to be out of it, and then we thought you were going to come back. But he picks up $114 for his troubles, 4th place. Well done. Anybody cashing in this deserves some applause for cutting through the number of players out there.
Yeah, not easy. So we're down to 3. We have chip leader Star Thunder, E-Razor with 55,000, and Buffy Biggood with 25. So Buffy's got a decision to make, really. Is he going to gamble now, or hope that these two take on each other? Tough one, very tough. What do? I would be more tempted to have a little bit of a gamble, I think. That would be my preference. Take a little, not excessive risks, but a few more than normal risks. Well, look at that, he's dominating here.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't. Well, that's a shame for him. He's lost out on that one. And the reason I say that is because the guys that I'm looking at, the other two, they've got a lot more chips than I have. And I'd rather take a shot at going getting first. And I can't do that if I'm going to get pummeled and pummeled. So he's picked up a hand here. And is well, Star Thunder, this is an all-in here, and I hope that he's going to do that. He does. That's the move. Star Thunder doesn't like the look of his 5-3 anymore.
Well, 3-9 looks even less interesting. You want to use your button position, but not with a hand like that. Still at 1,500, 3,000 on the blinds. It's going to take a while, but it won't take too long to start tuning away. Where are all the ace kings gone? Where are all the pocket jacks?
Yeah, well, there you are. They eventually do get back to normal.
Welcome to 10.
Another bunch of rubbish hands.
Yeah.
10-6, Jack 7, Queen 4, and Star Thunder's tried to take the initiative. Let's see if it works. Quite like this bet.
Yeah.
And I think he's picked up on it, hasn't he? He's picked up that, look, I've had a few rubbishy hands. I've got to win a blind every now and again. Can't just keep going around and, I want to try and maintain my stack. And nice play.
Yeah.
Buffy be good is trying the same thing. The only thing with Buffy is that I would say you need to commit yourself. I think putting in 9, you might as well just shove the lot in. Let them have a decision for half their stack.
Yeah.
Rather than just I'll take a little peek for 6,000 and decide to throw it away if I don't hit. Let them have a decision for 30,000. They happen to walk into a big hand, and it's just bad luck. Well, Buffy with the ace-jack. Must like it here. I presume it's an all-in. Should be. Shouldn't be a re-raise, should be a shove it all in, that's it. And that's the right way to play it.
Yep. King 7 suited for Star Thunder. It represents still a fair chunk of chips.
Well, he scored.
Goes for it.
And hits the jack. And nice double up for Buffy. Very nice indeed. So Buffy now zooms into second. And this could be action. King, Jack, Ace, 8, King 10, all decent hands, short-handed. I actually quite like the look of that King, Jack. He's got the button. He's got 2 face cards. Whereas E-Razor is only looking for 1 card, really, and that's the ace. And he's hit it, though. Wow. So that's good enough.
Yep.
And cheeky little check.
Hello. And no, we're not seeing much of this, have we? Mostly in this last section of this table, everyone that's hit something has actually been pretty much betting out. It has induced the bet out of Buffy.
Now, will E-Razor, is he confident enough to make a raise? Yes, he is. He knew where he was, and he said, that's a button raise. You're trying to... Oh, wow. He's scored.
Buffy's gone all in.
Oh, that's an unusual bit of play there. It was immediate as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Very strange.
Yeah, interesting. Well, what were you thinking there, Buffy? Let us know. Get in touch with us. Buffy does, however, get $150 for the $10 buy-in. But we would like to know what was your motivation there. That was interesting stuff. And we are down to a heads-up.
I think it was the cat's fault.
You think it was the cat's fault?
Yeah, the cat jumped on the keyboard.
You reckon?
Yeah.
I reckon it was a freak bolt of lightning.
There hasn't been much lightning. Well, I don't know, could have been.
No, not much lightning. But then
Yeah.
again,
I
we don't know that Buffy has a cat. So, yeah.
Well, it's Buffy. It's sort of like a witchy type of thing, isn't it?
No, it's a vampire killer, Mark.
Yeah, it's the same sort of thing. It's all sort of...
Well, the same sort of thing. Witches, vampire killers... all very much a muchness, I find. Well, here we are. The fight is between $360 for $240. So, you know, I'm no mathematician, but that's $120. So it's something worth fighting over here. These boys are by no means patting themselves on the back just yet. But Star Thunder, who has really rocked it from like four-handed down, is now Bobby underdog as we see the blinds at 2,000, 4,000.
Yeah, I must admit, I've been very impressed with E-Razor's play. What I've seen out of everyone. He seems to have got his timing spot on every time. He's been making every possible steal. One or twice it hasn't worked, but the play was right. And he hasn't wasted any chips at all. Well, he's taking a chance here, see if he can finish it. And he can't, so Star Thunder gains a little bit of money there. He's up to 40, well, it's up to 45, 43 now.
Yeah.
Well, this is a hand, and no.
It was over so quickly you couldn't even say anything about it.
Yeah. We'll see another all in there.
Ace
And he's going to take him on here. He's not going to leave anything to chance. He's probably just going to shove it in, I think. Yeah, well, he's announced that...
pretty much, yeah.
He's announced that you want to call this for all your chips. Well, in fact, he's given him room to hang himself.
Yeah.
Well,
but it is too.
This could be the last one. And it is.
There you go. Well, E-Razor.
Yeah, fantastic.
We didn't expect that. E-Razor walks out of here with $360.
Very nice.
Star Thunder, $240. But how funny you identified E-Razor. We had all of our hopes and dreams in Star Thunder because he had such a chip lead. And there you see, in the space of a few hands, E-Razor
takes it down, yeah, fantastic.
Ace
very
3.
Nice. Yeah, and he played really well, I thought. What I saw, I didn't see that much, but what I saw, he seemed to play every hand pretty excellently.
Some really excellent play going on there, just from those last 5 guys all the way down to the winner. Excellent.
Now tell me, Matt, the way you see these games now, this is a $10 multi-table tournament. We wouldn't have seen this a year ago, would we, this kind of level of play?
No, and I think that's the key thing is that even now when we get people talk about, I've been playing on the play tables and I want to... You don't really have to step up very high to get some real high quality of play going on because I think people really do... They're trying to improve their game, they're trying to maximise, they want to walk away because to win this, you can now enter as many $10 multi-tables as you want and you're in profit for such a long way of the variance.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's some real top play that we've seen. There's some real good moves.
I thought so. Good play there. Excellent by all guys.
Now, we also actually did hear from Buffy Be Good, who we commented on, who made a very strange call. And Buffy has written in to say, "Dear Matt and Mark, just a quick email about tonight's MTT and my very strange exit in third place. I must admit I tried to steal after the flop, but there's no way I called the re-raise. I could never have got that far, i.e. made the final table and also made the final table yesterday. If I was that bad, not quite sure," your cat theory could be right, "not quite sure what happened, but I'm sure you must be a little bit confused by my apparent call with absolutely nothing. We'll just have to blame the software." So they are, it was the software or a cat or a fleck of dust that and as you commented, it was an instant call.
Yeah.
So something went on there.
You know what could have happened? He could have... I don't know whether if he's using a laptop, but sometimes if he made a raise, didn't he?
Yeah.
So the mouse would have been in the same position, and he's now moved it away. And as you touched it, the slightest of touches sometimes will actually make it.
Got to be careful with these things.
Yeah.
But they are totally gutted to having just doubled up to go out like that. But to suffer ridicule from you guys would really be too much. We would never do that. We were just curious. Please go easy on me, although I did pass 7-8 offsuit late on, Mark. Please forgive me.
No chance. The thing about raising, calling there with a no hand, I can forgive, but passing 7-8, I just can't do it.
See, you have been warned. The wrath of Mark is upon you.
Yeah.
Okay, we have another email here from
terrible.
From Zitty. Evening, lads. Enjoying the show as always. Thank you very much. Good to hear from you. Watching the tourney, I was thinking that no way could I have won that. Do we know Zitty? I don't know if I've watched him tonight. Oh, this is the guy. This is the guy that picked up the tournament that I exited so early.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I was not recognising the name. If I'd been playing,
I'm glad you were taking notice of what was going on. Matt.
I told you,
you only 1/8 of it.
I was very busy at the time. Thank you. If I'd been playing, I would have been sorely tempted to gamble all in earlier with lower blinds and try to hit or bust. Which is something we talked about earlier on. If I can get a good stack, I can survive the high blinds, but short stack, I'm knackered. Would it be stupid to risk it all earlier with a gambling hand, maybe get a check lead and go and have a chance to go all the way? Or is the survival at all costs the way to go? So this is really, again, something we talked about earlier on.
Yeah.
What is the best way to approach it? What's your personal? You like to be a bit more speculative early?
I'm a little more speculative. I mean, I'm not gung-ho, but I'm a little bit more speculative. I used to be a lot more gung-ho early on. I've sort of gone through phases. I started off really being tight, then being the complete opposite of that and really taking massive chances early on. And now I'm sort of somewhere in between.
Right.
So personally, I like where I am at the moment. I think there's enough of a challenge to actually... you know, to get some chips, but not to risk a tournament life. So I like to be a little bit more speculative.
Does the length of a tournament affect that decision for you? As in, if you're in, you know, some of these tournaments, you know, the World Series events or some of these big European events, where they go on for days and days, I know some of the pros prefer to, like, make moves early and, you know, and either make an impact early or get out of it. They don't want to be playing there for 3 days to get bust out.
Yeah.
Does the length of it make any difference to you as to how you approach a tournament?
Yeah, it depends. I think, you see, if you're one of these top pros that's getting sponsorship and can afford, you know, $10,000 tournaments week in, week out, then you can afford to take a bit more of a chance, can't you? Because you know next week you're going to play another one.
Yeah.
If this is your first World Series event and you're unlikely to play another $10,000 entry for another year, you know, until you qualify again, then you want to be a little bit more careful, don't you?
Yeah.
So I think you've got to, you know, realise that your own personal situation is important. Whilst it shouldn't make a difference, it should make a slight difference because, you know, there are big variances in tournaments, and you know, if you can creep into the money, maybe not win it, but you know that you're going to make some decent money out of it. Generally, what will happen is that it means you now, like you said a moment ago, can now afford a few other buy-ins.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and hopefully one of those will flourish, and then you can take a bit more. So the idea, I think, for your first time you're doing it, is to try and creep into the sort of the decent money area, and then try and buy into some smaller events, try and get some bigger prizes there, and then hopefully it'll just snowball.
Do you think that the change in the game, you know, that we're always talking about how much more aggressive the game has become now, you know, lots of kind of well-known poker players that, you know, always advocating aggression. Do you think that has changed the way that people play in the tournaments, in that most people did used to just play early stages, pure survival, whereas now they appreciate they've got to get more involved in it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't know about you, but when I started playing about 3 years ago, And when I started playing, you saw a new, well, after about 6 months, when you saw a new person come on, generally they were going to be a tight player. They wouldn't play many hands, they'd play tight, and that's all you'd see. Nowadays, you get a new player, they're playing like Gus Hansen. They're raising with 3-7 and 3-6 and
7-8 offsuit,
and all sorts. Yeah. Sorry, 7-8.
Sorry, did
7-8.
Sorry, did I classify that as junk? I do apologise.
No, I think you're not referring to. You're just getting mixed up with the eights, the pair of eights.
Sorry,
the pair of eights. That's no good. So. So now they're playing very differently, and you've got to realise that, and you've got to spot. It's like anything. At the end of the day, you've got to spot who are the people that are playing and who are the ones surviving, and you've got to try and isolate your players.
Absolutely, you've got to adapt to the game, folks. That's what we're saying. Work out where you are and adapt to it. We have another email from Martin, aka Stanters. Hi, Matt and Super Sub Mark.
Yeah.
Mark flying in at the last minute,
That's right,
saving us. Just heard your mail about all-ins early in... Oh, here we go. It's the same subject, about all-ins early in multi-table tournaments. Don't worry, this isn't a bad beat story. It's all right, Nick's not on tonight. You're allowed bad beat stories. It does have a point. Tonight I went out in a $25 buy-in on the second hand I was dealt. I was dealt pocket queens, had 2 limpers, so I raised. You might make notes. There's a question coming. I'm sure there's a bit more information to go. So the guy's got dealt queen, had 2 limpers, so I raised 100 into a 65 pot and got 4 callers. The flop is 7 queen 4, and there's a couple of hearts in there. I bet the pot 520, and a guy calls, and one goes all in. With a heavy heart I call, and the other guy did too, and they both had 2 hearts, and they hit the 10 of hearts on the river. Their hands were ace 9 and 8-3. Would you have played any differently? I feared the worst, but how could I have folded the nuts at that point? So the guy at that point, he does have the nuts. He's got 3 of a kind queens, but he's facing 2 hearts. I guess I just got unlucky, but any advice would be welcome.
You're unlucky. There's no way about it. I don't think there's anything you can really do. Some players, what they would have done in that situation is they would have given a cheaper turn card so that if they feel that anyone is on a flush draw. But I don't think you've done a lot wrong. Look, you've got top set, there's no straight draw out there, there's a possible flush draw, and the guy normally would be 2-1 to hit, but there's 2 of them have got hearts. I'm not sure how much that reduces it by, but whatever it is, it reduces it somewhat. So maybe 2.5 to 1 or something, 2.6 to 1, something in that area. So you're very, very unfortunate. I don't think you've done a lot wrong, and sometimes that's the thing, Matt, isn't it? You talk about variance in tournaments. That's the sort of thing that can happen. You can do nothing wrong and go to a tournament on the second hand after doing nothing wrong. You can do nothing wrong and still lose. Yeah, and that's so important, isn't it, with the tournaments? It really only takes one. I mean, it's kind of a bad beat, but actually it's like you say, what else can you do with a pair of queens? You don't want to get too far into action with a pair of queens because there's so many hands that can beat them. But that's the problem with tournaments, and I think that's something that takes a lot of time to adjust if you're going between tournaments and cash games. I think when you move from tournaments to cash games, you can actually be over-worried. I think there's a lot of weakness you get in people that have... I mean, I've sensed this myself. You play a lot of tournaments. You get used to getting out of situations where you could potentially knock yourself out of a tournament. But, I mean, something like queens, are you going to play that a lot differently in a cash game than you would in a tournament situation?
I'll play most hands differently, yeah. And I'll play them differently depending on the... Well, I'll play the beginning part of a tournament very similar to a cash game, generally, because there's a lot of play, generally speaking. So I'll play that in a very similar type of fashion. But the guy, he's hit top set now. Once he's hit that top set, there's no escape. Yeah. He's hit top set, there's no flush draw, there's a flush draw, but there's no straight draw. I don't see what else you can do.
The interesting thing there is he's saying when he's made this raise before the flop, that one of the guys is called with ace-9, and one of the guys is called with 8-3. Is 8-3 a hand that qualifies in your list of playable hands?
Not 8-3, no. 8-5, but not 8-3. I'd like to have some kind of connectability. And 8-3 doesn't qualify, I'm afraid. Not even for me.
So I think, Martin, what we're saying is, no, I don't think we would have played it any differently. You make a move with queens, people call you, you hit your hand and they're still on draws and they come with you. What can we say, mate? Unlucky. Thanks very much for emails, and indeed thanks to everybody that's emailed in tonight. We've had some great games to watch. My thanks to Mark for coming in, flying in on his magic carpet. Other than that, there's more action tomorrow, so do tune in from 10 till 2. Other than that, thanks very much for everyone that joined in tonight with your texts and emails. Do support the guys tomorrow. I'm sure they'd like to hear from you as well. See you soon.